fans, and welcome back to another episode of Davey Mac's Tales from the Satellite. I'm your host, Bobby Tamburro, and joining me as always is, ladies and gentlemen, it's the names in the title, Eastside Dave.
Thank you so much, Robert. Davey Mac is what they call me. Eastside Dave is what they call me.
It is confusing because like everything else is branded Eastside Dave, and then this is Davey Mac, and
Davey Mac Sports Program, dog.
And can I call you Mac? I'm just kidding.
Well, what about the Davey Mac Sports Program? One of the number one independent sports podcast of the last 13 years.
It's coming back.
Winner of iTunes Best in Show.
Yeah.
How about that?
And they say it's even better now.
I mean, it is even better, baby.
Sorry, I almost fainted there, and that's what we're talking about tonight. It's the pinnacle of Earl Douglas's fainting goat saga.
Oh, this is fantastic. Controversial.
And you may remember that it kind of all came to a head with Fez's 24-hour bet.
I do remember that, Robert. I'm very excited and also trepidatious about this episode. I remember there being lots of controversy, lots of anger, lots of infighting, finger pointing, and there's going to be some real behind-the-scenes scuttlebutt that you've never heard before.
Ooh.
That is a promise to you, Robert, and to all the people out there listening and watching Davey Mac's Tales from the Satellite. Hello.
Well, with all that chaos and controversy going on, we'll just keep it straightforward and chronological so nobody gets lost.
There you go. Smart.
Along the way.
Smart, you little fucking asshole with the wise-ass comments. Jesus Christ.
So, today...
No. You're not going to fucking get away with that and then just, everyone's going to fucking wonder what he's talking about. Because Robert wanted to start the show in a memento kind of way where we were going to tell the ending first and then go backwards like it's a fucking Christopher Nolan movie. We would have been...
I think the best way to look at our difference of opinion is you're a Hemingway, I'm a Hawthorne.
Yeah, Hemingway was far superior. Nathaniel Hawthorne,
Probably
fucked his mom, they said.
Well,
did you ever hear that fucking story? Yeah, that guy's a fucking weirdo.
I think you just made that up on the spot,
No,
which it
look it up,
sounds like
Wikipedia.
something an alcoholic like Hemingway would do.
Listen, look it up on
you hear
Wikipedia.
that guy who writes better than me? He fucked his mom.
Listen. This isn't a fucking contest. It's Davey Mac's Tales from the
No, I know.
Satellite, bitch, not Bobby Tamburro's
Actually, what
nothing.
I was saying is we are going to try to keep this chronological for the most part, but what is difficult is there are two stories we're telling here because it's about Fez's bet, but it all kind of ties into Earl's fainting. And let's be honest, Earl didn't faint once. It wasn't like he had a week of fainting spells. This was something that happened for a long period of time, and there was evidence that led up to it along the way. So,
right, I'm curious to hear that evidence.
I think we're going to get into some of that. But the story,
Excellent.
The main focus here is Fez found himself in a bet that he could be silent for 24 hours.
Okay.
Right?
Fantastic. Yes.
So
Yes.
here's
Right.
what happened. Fez was talking. Somebody came up with the idea where it was very quickly go around the room. I think it may have been Fez, or it may have been one of the board girls on Pal Talk asked, how long do you think you could go without making any noise or having any human interaction verbally? And it went around the room quickly. Everybody kind of scoffed at it, and what would your answer be now?
For me?
Yes. How long could you go without human interaction? Like no talking, no clearing your throat, no audible noises.
Oh, audible noises?
Yeah. So
that would be almost impossible. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Coughing.
Everybody was like, I'd tap out at 24 hours.
Yeah,
at most.
there's no way I could do it at all. I could do it for about 8 hours,
and I
could stay quiet.
It was all kind of shaken off like it was a stupid idea until it got to Fez, who quickly said a week. Everybody was like, what?
A week of silence, even though he works on the radio.
And quickly the bet was made that Fez could stay silent for a week. And I got to know right away. Like, this is the most tongue-in-cheek thing I've ever heard. Like, was this planned? Like, was this... Did somebody have the idea in the back? Because,
this came up naturally, I think. No, absolutely. I believe so. I mean, that's a hard thing. That's a hard detail to recall 100%. But my gut tells me this was an impromptu bet because this is crazy. Also, he works in radio, so I don't think he would have volunteered that, nor I think Ron would have asked for him to be silent either for a week. It's his partner on the radio.
The only reason I asked, though, is because this was the era where everybody was accusing you of trying to be second mic and Fez of not talking anymore.
Didn't know that.
People were making the jokes of like, how do you get paid without talking on air? And so
the greatest stunt in the history of radio. We're going to run silent, run deep. For the next week, our own Fez Whatley is going to do the impossible, and that is go without talking for a full week.
7 days without hearing Fez's voice.
No talking at all, no writing.
No talking, no writing, no grunting, no laughing aloud.
No eating, no drinking, no using the bathroom.
Are those part of the rules?
I thought they would be.
That would kill me.
I don't, we've got to put the rules together, but it's really not making a lot of sense to me that we have a radio host that we cannot communicate with.
Right. There are give and takes in this challenge.
Maybe this is a possibility. Hicks, is there something that we could hook up to his brain so we could read his brain waves over the next week?
I might be able to rig something up.
That's just going to be one loud scream.
By the way, we can be seen today, Fezzy. Dave has put us up on the Pal Talk, and the reason why we've done that is so that you can be monitored 24 hours a day.
Yeah, exactly. I am willing to accept that because I will not be talking.
And also, that means if you go into the shit can, the camera has to go in with you, because I don't want you in there just chatting it up.
Well, that's going to be embarrassing.
For who?
Me.
Oh, I thought for the people viewing.
I love that era. I love the era where I was the Jackie Robinson, and simply because I had fun things to say and contribute, it was, he's trying to steal Fez's job. Will you shut up? Will you just shut up? I'm trying to participate and simply contribute. That's it.
And also, what were the callers doing by calling in and saying that? Just trying to get on air and talk. Everybody wants to be on air and talk.
Right.
It's the goal. If you're in the business, that's the goal, unless if you're certain people.
Yeah, no.
Like Hawk.
Excuse me. I'm a basketball player who can fucking average 25 a game, yet I never want the ball. Like, that's not my mentality.
No. You got to be
My
ready.
mentality is do whatever I can for the show. Whatever it is.
You're Jamie Foxx on any given Sunday. You're ready to go at all times when you get your opportunity.
I was a supporting player on the show. It was
Whatever
the Ron
you
and
need.
Fez show. However, if you needed me in different capacities, scoring touchdowns, doing whatever the hell you needed to do, I'm ready to do that as well. Don't blame me.
And
he's trying to take over someone's. That was so silly. It was so silly and foolish.
Everybody, including all of our new YouTube listeners, have heard the other episodes, so I don't have to reiterate too much. But at this point, a number of times, like we've talked about, you were stepping up to kind of help Fez out when he was going through a tight spot, or it was a planned thing.
Just trying to help out the show.
But additionally, you weren't putting it out there that I'm doing this to help him. You were just being a good person. You know what I mean? So you're not going to put it out there.
Nice
So you kind of become the heel in this. But this story is a little different in that you're kind of tertiary in this story. You're kind of more of an observer and not involved, which is going to be interesting because I feel like you may have more details about it.
Exactly. I will. So, I'll have some details for you.
Quickly, the bet gets kind of flushed out too. It's going to be a week of Fez not talking. In order to make sure he doesn't talk, somebody's got to monitor him at all times. So you set up the Pal Talk cameras in the studio. So now Fez is living at the studio and not talking for a week. Additionally,
that's fantastic. I'll tell you, Pal Talk was such a presence in those XM days. More XM than Sirius XM. In the XM days on 57th Street, Pal Talk was definitely omnipresent, and they were all around, and they were always monitoring us. It was a very much of a Big Brother situation. Yeah, it was. But this is where the Pal Talk came in handy there.
Quite handy, I'd even say.
I'm surprised that it was a week.
Yeah, a week seems intense, right?
I definitely remember the Fez silent bet. Yeah, 100%.
No, and to be honest with you,
I am surprised it was a week. In my mind, I thought he had made the bet on Thursday or Wednesday, and then he tried to stay silent for the rest of the week. I didn't think.
I thought the same thing. And when we were doing the production meeting, Archivist was saying he didn't think it got moved, but certainly seems like it was planning all to come to a head the next day after the Opie and Anthony show. So it may have been at some point Ron scaled it back to 24 hours and was like, no, you're my partner in radio. I'll see if I can find the clip. If I find it, I'll throw it in here. But so the bet's made. And additionally, somebody is going to be allowed to read what Fez writes on paper.
Okay.
Every other hour.
Okay.
So 1 hour of no interaction, 1 hour of being able to write on paper, and hilarity is about to ensue.
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
So you're sure though this wasn't a work, because I gotta.
No,
one of my favorite things.
He stayed silent. He did. And
no. I believe he stayed silent. I'm saying about setting up the bet, because here's why I ask. One of my favorite parts of Ron and Fez, especially in the you, Chris, Earl era, was the tongue-in-cheekness. Like, you would approach controversy and things with a very tongue-in-cheek, almost in-your-face kind of thing. So if everything on the boards right now is Dave stealing second mic, Fez isn't talking.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
The bet becomes Fez not talking, Dave has to be second mic. Like, it's almost like a fuck you guys, we're going to set it up so it's a bit now. Not a fuck you, but you know what I mean.
Listen, it's a fair point. I like the fact that you're bringing it up, because it means other, psychopaths and weirdo radio conspiracy theorists have the same thought. No, this happened.
No, they all tuned out when we did it in chronological order. They're like, wait, what?
Will you get the fuck over it? God, fuck you.
I was saying we're all psychopaths. That was my way of apologizing.
Oh, okay, all right.
Both times I was trying to do it like, see, I'm over it, Dave, and you took it as me being angry. No, that's my way of apologizing. Maybe this is why we have issues.
Well, here's the better way of apologizing is just apologizing instead of some bizarre Robert joke.
No, I don't do that. Anyway.
Regardless, that happened outside. No one even knows what we're talking about. With regards to this was no we're going to work people, we're going to take what they're saying on the message boards, or we're going to do this, this is a thing that naturally popped up.
Occurred.
Let's run with it.
And if it fits it, you guys probably saw in the moment how funny it would be and rolled with it, right? Because then all the calls are, how are you going to work on radio? Yeah. Exactly.
So it popped up. Sometimes these things happen, like it could just be on the old instant messenger on the Pal Talk there. And it just pops up, boom, let's run with it.
And that's one of the things that made the Ron and Fez era so fun, is that everybody could kind of be a part of the show. Like,
no
you
question.
could get your comments in,
Absolutely. Good point.
So
just watch it.
I'm
on to you right
You're
now.
on to me?
I'm on
About
to you.
what?
I'm watching you like a hawk today.
I'm just seeing where we're at real quick.
I'm watching you like a
So
hawk.
quickly, the idea comes up that if it's going to come to a head the next day, Fez is going to have to stay in studio for the O&A show. And why not, since the Pal Talk cameras are going to be on anyway, why don't you guys do a midnight show like you used to when they were on WNEW? And you could...
That was fun.
Right? And so the idea was it would be fun. Ron's making all the typical jokes about people are going to fall asleep, that, it's going to be real hot for the first hour and everybody's going to die out.
Yeah.
You're excited.
I was excited. I like doing we had done some weird Pal Talk stuff before, like shows and bits and things.
Absolutely. But you were particularly excited because at this point you had two young children, and a wife, and you were excited she gave you permission to not only be out all night, but also to drink. Which comes up later. I wouldn't just point out you're drinking. This is key to the story. So when something like that happens, what had to occur behind the scenes? So Ron has this idea at the beginning of the show that they're going to do a midnight show. What has to happen behind the scenes to get, instead of the replay, a live show on the air?
Okay, so Robert, I might be wrong on this. It's possible I am. I thought, in my mind, the show was just for Pal Talk. No, it was on Sirius XM.
It actually aired on the radio, on XM, yeah.
Holy shit. So what would have to occur is Ron would have the idea, he probably did. He then would tell Earl Douglas, who then has to call Don Wicklin, and he has to tell Don Wicklin, you have to change the grid around. There was always some bullshit about changing the fucking grid, like it was the goddamn Matrix or something. No one ever even understood what the hell that meant.
As you know, you've worked in radio for 20 years. I have not, but I can break it down at a level of fans can understand quick. Basically, it's like an Excel sheet, and you put in a program. Like, this plays next. It's got an MP3 ready to go. And if you miss something, then you hear this big off-air alarm, and then everybody runs and somebody's getting fired.
It's
like that on a more industrial level because you're dealing nationwide.
It seemed like a rather easy thing that should be able to be done. We had computers. It was like, well, you can't do that. It was like, well, just take whatever's out on midnight, and then we're going to press, we're going to turn the microphones on, and we should be good to go.
Makes sense. As long as you called who? And
Don Wicklin.
Interesting. And this is how many years later? Almost 20? You can remember the guy's name was Don Wicklin because an hour and a half left in the show. Ron asks Earl for an update on the midnight show, and he goes, I have to call DC. And Ron goes, who? Give me a name, Earl. You're just going to call a location? And he just keeps going, I got to call DC. I'm feeling woozy, and he almost goes down.
Fez silent for a week on the Ron and Fez show. They're going to keep him on Pal Talk tonight. And I've asked Earl 7 times if I can come back here during the replay tonight at midnight and be on the show with Fez and do a show, and I've heard nothing back at all.
I think we would have to clear. We'd have to clear with the bosses first. I can't authorize that.
What's that, E-Rock? We can do it? Yeah. Wow. Isn't that simple? Why is E-Rock, who's only been in this business for a couple years, understanding better more than a guy over 2 decades?
I'm just relaying what I was told.
When were you told?
Whenever we have to do something like that.
I've asked you about this an hour and a half ago. You didn't make the phone call. And E-Rock said, yes, this can be done easy.
I mean,
I'm trying to go off the air now and say to people, hey, if you want to, midnight on the East Coast, the show will be live again. You're telling me we don't have any idea whether we'll be live or not.
I gotta call Washington, D.C., which at the time was the headquarters of XM.
Where Don Wicklin would be.
Don Wicklin
he could get in touch
with.
Yes. So all I had to say was Don Wicklin. And
watch to D.C. as if he fucking works in the Pentagon or something. Come on, man.
Well, and you might go, well, that's crazy. Why would Ron grill him this much? If he started to say he was feeling woozy, why would Ron keep pressing him until he fainted? Yeah. But this isn't the first time we've seen Earl panic when he didn't know something was going on or be throwing too much information at him. At this point, Earl had earned himself a nickname.
Fainting Goat.
Febreze the Fainting Goat.
Febreze the Fainting Goat.
Now, I'm going to ask you this. I'll tell you my personal favorite Earl nickname was the Faildozer. What was yours?
Oh, you know what my favorite fucking Earl Douglas nickname is, Bobby?
What is that?
It's Sapphire, baby!
Oh!
From the bottom of the canyon to the top of the mountains, my sweet, sweet Sapphire, my sexy Sapphire, my good-looking, love-making, lovey-dovey, big-ass, big-dick Sapphire. We used to go to the forest, Bobby, hand jobs and 69s each and every day while we thought about unicorns, baby. Dicks in each other's asses. Sweet, sweet Sapphire. I love you, baby. I miss you, daddy. Sapphire would be my favorite.
Interesting, because obviously that was just an impression of the Rider. It wasn't the Rider himself.
That was me doing an impression of the Midnight Rider, a character that was on the Ron and Fez show for a little bit. I do impressions.
One of my favorite nicknames, and a brilliant impression, by the way.
Thank you.
Almost a little too masculine for the Rider.
Sounds like him.
It's hard for you to get that feminine.
Exactly.
But when I was fell in love with the Rider saga, as we've talked about a number of times. Sure. I had a coworker who was kind of like Earl, didn't really do anything. I had to carry all the weight, even though he was my superior. So I started just referring to him at work as, come on, Sappy, let's go get the cardboard. And he had no idea where it came from, and it just really irritated him.
Come on, Sappy.
Come on, Sappy.
What job was this? Where'd you work?
We were the operations crew at Dick's Sporting Goods.
Come on, Sappy. We got to load all the rubber basketballs into that giant cage, Daddy. We got 50 basketballs. We got to put in that huge, huge metal cage. Is that what you had to do? Stuck the basketballs into that shit?
I shot him when I had to do that. Why is it taking so long? Because I'm not good at shooting.
Earl Douglas, he is funny because when he got nervous, of course, we're going to discuss some of the faintings, I guess, but he also used to do this thing where he would drink, like this, like from his ginger ale. It was always diet ginger ale. He would take the smallest sip like that, and the ginger ale would be drank. There would be nothing in the can, and he would keep drinking it because anytime he got nervous, he needed to sip something. It was a fucking nervous tick.
Oh, yeah, it's a PTSD thing for sure. Yeah. Like you would hear about people after the Holocaust would still tip their hat anytime they walk by somebody, like because you had to do that. Like it's a rhythm.
Wow.
Like I do this as a way to relax.
It
and,
was a rhythm. He used to then hit that fucking can of Diet Ginger Ale all the time. And we would just say, there's nothing in that can. You're
sure?
not drinking
Is it
anything.
true? Is it true you laced it with cyanide and that's why he fainted? I'm just
I
kidding.
did not. I wish I had.
Can you say it right into this wire I have?
I didn't.
Okay. But the first time we heard Earl be like interrogated about what's going on and not have the answers and faint was actually the 1-year anniversary of Ron and Fez being on XM.
Okay.
And basically what happened is
Fantastic.
they're on air. They're on air. And Hard Rock Johnny shows up with food from the Hard Rock.
Ooh.
And Ron goes, "Oh, I didn't know you were coming in." And Johnny was like, "Well, this is when I was told, but I was told not to tell." And the gifts for the surprise after show party start to trickle in from the beginning of the show through the end. And about halfway through, Ron realizes Earl was supposed to coordinate everything.
Oh, my God.
And it all starts to fall apart.
There it is. Right there.
There it
Thanks
is.
a lot, Hard Rock Johnny.
And
You created this monster, the Faith and Goat. It's all your fault.
what does he do to get out of trouble? He starts to get queasy. He has to sit down.
Right.
He starts to sip his ginger
It's a
ale. He
strategy.
goes out. And at that, this is the point where Ron goes, "What is the animal that's like? What is the is it a sheep you yell at?" And then somebody calls in, and that's when he gives him the nickname, Febreze the fainting goat. And why did he get the nickname Febreze? Well, the first time Earl fainted,
Yeah. He claimed that that's what it was.
he said he smelled Febreze.
That's
and
what he
he
said.
said when he came to.
Yeah.
But-
and no one bought that story.
No.
There wasn't one person on Ron and Fez and or Opie and Anthony who believed that Febreze made Earl faint. It was a crazy
No.
thing to say.
And let's set the scene from the beginning. The show starts. The opening, there's an issue. Pepper has to run in and fix it quick because Earl's in the booth saying hi to Ron and Fez, who quickly give him a go fix the opening. He gets to the doorway and hits the ground. At which point, what do you think happens?
Chris Pepper Stanley takes over the opener.
I'm saying with Earl on the ground. What do you think happened? Oh yeah, Pepper, of course.
Oh, what
Chris
happened?
Pepper Stanley steps up, gets the opener off the ground and rolling.
What happens with Earl on the ground?
Yeah.
Starts foaming at the mouth.
You assume everybody rounds over and checks to make sure he's okay, right?
Right. Yeah.
Not a single one of you moves.
No.
You all just look and laugh. Everybody is laughing at Earl on the ground.
Because no one believed him. He had things that popped up only when he may be approaching trouble. These are the only times where either he was feeling faint, there was some sort of cold, he had a health issue. Sometimes I remember him saying he was seeing spots. There was all these different medical issues that only seemed to pop up when he had fucked something up.
It's like the kid in sports who was hurt every time he missed a shot. Ah, my shoulder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
The kid
And
strikes out, and then he blames his fucking knee.
to be honest, without going to our sources, the only way we knew there was some trouble behind the scenes is everybody saw that he fainted and thought he just tripped or something, except for Pitsy, who thought Ron shoved Earl into the door and was just like, "I'm going to keep my mouth shut."
What?
I think, and Ron goes, "Yeah, when that happened, you keep your fucking mouth shut, Pitsy."
What an idiot.
But again,
Pitsy, I mean.
Pitsy's laughing because he thinks it's, he's like,
Well,
Earl deserves
he's
it. We
not-
all want to
yeah.
do it. Yeah.
That would have been something that bothered Pitsy. It would have been
It'd
something
been the
that made
highlight
him
of his
happy.
day. Yeah.
It will, because, you know, Pitsy and Earl sometimes didn't get along.
Also,
You
let's
know-
be honest. If your boss shoves a coworker through a door, it's hilarious regardless of if they deserved it or not.
Especially if Earl was on the
Deserved
receiving
it.
end.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, yeah, we would have all been on the floor dying of laughter if that occurred.
Oh, of course. And I think you already were, because E-Rock comes over and tries to like massage Earl to help get him up, and you run over and go, no, don't move him. It'll paralyze him.
The only thing...
Which Ron got a real kick out of.
The one thing I'm going to compliment Earl surprisingly on is, if anyone watches wrestling, Earl's his feints, he does a great, what they would say is a front face bump, which is he would stand there for like 1 second and then just go straight down, like boom, like that, and he would go just boom, straight face first into the goddamn ground. I thought that was good. I was impressed by Earl's bump, the Ric Flair type of bump. But, you know, just like Ric Flair, it was a phony bump. I mean, Ric Flair wasn't getting fucking beaten up by Ricky the Dragon Steamboat in 1989. This was all part of the show.
Exactly.
Earl, after his wonderful but wrestling Ric Flair bump, would then try and sell us that he had fainted for real. And that's the thing. Why work us?
Yeah, work the audience, not your friends.
Thank you. Why you working us, bro?
That was my other favorite Earl nickname, was Ron's best friend. When he would ever say it sarcastically whenever Earl fucked up and was like, and that's my best friend, Fezzy. That's my best friend. So he goes down. He says Febreze. You guys get him up.
Is the reason.
He's fine. You ask him some more questions. We go, let's move on, Earl. It's okay. So then he talks to Dr. Steve, who goes, oh, okay. I'm allergic to this perfume. Maybe you're allergic to Febreze. Earl comes in and tells that story the next day to everybody, at which point Ron reveals he's talked to everybody. Nobody sprayed Febreze.
No one sprayed Febreze. He was blaming it on Febreze. First of all, Febreze is not going to make anyone pass out.
I mean, in theory, if you were deathly allergic and somebody chloroform ragged you with it, you might have a problem.
I don't think
nobody was doing
is.
that to Earl. And that day, he fainted for the first time and said Febreze. You tested the theory because you're a scientist, Dave.
Right.
You sprayed him in the face a number of times with Febreze.
Absolutely. He didn't faint.
You tried to get him to do Clorox shots. You're like, that'll help you. And he didn't. And
I mean, that one would have killed him.
Yeah. That
but,
one.
you know, I was also trying to, you know, just see how strong he was mentally with the Clorox shot off.
Ron even said no Clorox shots.
No Clorox shots. Okay,
could
fair.
that potentially have anything to do with the Palmolive incident we talked about last episode?
Very much so.
Which, if you are just tuning in, what happened? You drank Palmolive and
I drank a shot to get a taste of duty out of my mouth. I drank a fucking shot glass of liquid detergent. And, you know, like what dishwasher stuff or hand soap, did the shot. Then I thought that was, you know, that's a good way to get the duty out of your mouth. I didn't know that was harmful.
No.
And next thing you know, I'm throwing up all over the place.
You called poison control.
And so I said, Earl, you got to get me to a hospital ASAP. I think I might die.
Oh, so he called you an ambulance.
So he didn't call me an ambulance. He didn't call me a cab even. In fact, no automobile. He didn't even get me a fucking bus nor a goddamn subway token. He said, okay.
On the subway, they would have thought you were just a dope addict.
He said, let's walk.
Oh, like walk it off.
Fucking 15 blocks to the hospital. I'm like, I've been poisoned. Yeah, it was self-poisoning because I drank a shot of fucking liquid detergent. But nevertheless, I'm poisoned. I'm throwing up fucking soap bubbles on Fifth Avenue in New York City. Can we please get me transportation to the hospital?
No, Dave, I don't have any money, so let's just walk.
Please,
okay.
Earl.
That's ridiculous.
Please.
I don't have any money.
Go beg for me,
Do you
Earl.
have money? Because I don't have any money for a cab or
you're gonna die if you don't find some money, Dave.
Yeah, I mean it's not my fault. You know, Dave. If you're gonna, if you're going to the hospital, maybe you should have brought some cab fare.
Give me a second. I'll ask Shave 45 if they need some pictures hung. I'll be back in 2 weeks with the paycheck.
It was crazy. So he made me walk to the hospital.
It makes sense that he wanted to call you, that he should have called you a cab or taken you subway, but he wouldn't call you an ambulance. And why not? What's the one rule of radio?
The one rule
or
is
I guess it's
do
technically
not
two.
call an ambulance or an actual doctor.
Or
ambulance or cops.
Yeah.
We are not doing that. We are not bringing the attention. You need to treat this like the mob.
Exactly.
Everything stays within the families. Any type of feuds need to be handled amongst ourselves. We do not involve the police, the ambulances, nor the program directors and general manager types.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you did something where you had to go to the hospital,
that would get on their radar.
Well, you get yourself there and you come up with this. You were at home and you did something. It had nothing to do with the radio. You know what I mean? Like same as the mob.
Yes. I tripped on a roller skate.
Yeah. You know, that old shindig. I fell down the stairs.
Yes. Gotcha.
So that's the first time we see Earl faint.
Yeah.
So we're now back
Son
to
of a bitch. Fucking bastard.
we're now back to the midnight show where Mooch is there. And you've talked about Mooch before.
Great guy.
I think I've thought about it a lot since we talked about him last time, and I think Mooch would have been great at like a punk rock station. Like his knowledge was very that type of thing. His humor was very punk humor. You know what I mean? Almost kind of like CKY or Jackass style. Like I think he would have been fantastic in that. Not that he wouldn't have been great in what he contributed to Ron and Fez wasn't, but I think it's just a shame he didn't get that opportunity.
I mean, he's very talented. You know, he's a great filmmaker, video maker, all kinds of stuff. Cameraman. Very talented man.
Very. I will say though, the Irish accent.
Yeah?
Particularly when you're being berated, is one of the toughest to take. Like it just is very. My grandparents were Irish. Like it comes across as very harsh. Like there's
really?
not. Oh yeah, absolutely. Just so he comes in and he has had it with Earl. He is screaming at Earl, and
even Mooch is getting mad at Earl now,
telling Earl he's not a good producer.
Oh Jesus!
These things, and that couples with you, who jump in and go, yeah, and I got you a great guest idea, was going to book him, and you wouldn't let me because you said we had different jobs.
Oh, my God.
Any idea?
I don't know. Okay, can I throw a guess out?
Yes, please.
Les Claypool.
No, so here, I'll give you a hint. So, and this actually leads me to a question before I give you the hint. So I'm going to write a note to come back to.
Because can I just throw Earl under the bus then for 2 seconds?
Please.
He one time, or one of Earl's responsibilities was to pitch Ron the guests. You know, maybe it was every Tuesday or Wednesday. Here's a list of a whole bunch of people, and one of the names was Les Claypool, lead singer and obviously legendary bassist for the band Primus.
They make those great guitars, right?
Yeah, man. But I said to Earl, "Oh yeah, you got to get Les Claypool in here." And he's like, no, I'm not even gonna offer him the Ron. He's not gonna like him.
He's not in the Black Rock Coalition.
Jesus fucking Christ! Can you let Ron make the decision A and B at least offer it to him, and then I can chime in? I mean, after all, yes, Primus. We're not talking about a band that's as big as Pearl Jam or Nirvana, but we are talking about a band that did the theme song for South Park. We're talking about the band that played Woodstock 94, and when they did My Name is Mud, their song was the most iconic because everyone was throwing the mud all over the place. Yeah. We're talking about a band that actually has had some huge moments, and Les Claypool is a legendary bassist who invents his own bass. How is he not proposing Les Claypool to Ron? But
no, Ron's not going to like Les Claypool. I'm like, you motherfucker!
More importantly, is it the Earl Douglas show or is it the Ron and Fez show?
Just pitch it to him. That was all I was saying.
Right, you're the producer of the show. Now you might say,
"Oh, not my job, Bobby. Not my job. Not your job, Davey. You don't book the guest, Davey. You shut your fucking mouth, Davey." Jesus. All right,
which is interesting.
That's fine.
Because at this point, you had just started doing a fun little show called Special Delivery, where you had just booked a big guest who made national news. And we might get a little more into that on the next episode.
Oh, excellent.
And one of the lines comes up. That's the only reason I bring it up.
BM?
It is.
It's Bowel Movement. Everyone knows Bowel Movement, legendary rapper from Queens. No, of course.
Ironically, after...
Video game guy.
Yeah. Ironically, after last week's episode, I said no more BM stuff. And then you proposed this guy. I was like, we could do the BM stuff again.
Billy Mitchell,
yeah,
buddy.
And the line that Sam references at one point is, "There's a kill screen incoming." But so Mooch is giving him a hard time, and you point out that he didn't get a guest. And before we get to that, when Fez agrees to the bet, the show ends, and they set it up in the most great way. He goes into the silence by going, "Okay," and Ron goes, "Anything you want to say before you go on?" "Yeah, I just think because I have to be silent for a while, I'd like to get this off my chest. I think I might be," and then the horn sounds. It's just such
because he had not come out of the closet yet.
He had not. No, It was still a secret.
So he was about to say he's gay.
He was,
and then he
was about to reveal the secret.
Beautiful.
Can you twist that can a little more for me?
Let's adjust this. Just beautiful.
That's perfect.
Thank you, Robert. I gotta stop hitting the table. People said that.
Yeah, it shakes this one, but we've actually got another shot, so it shouldn't be too bad.
Thank you.
But the other thing is, so he makes this bet. It ends. Do you guys get together because it's got to go at least a day. You're doing the midnight show, right? If he blows it before then, the whole thing shall. Why would you come? You know what I mean? So do you get together and go, okay, we're going to help Fez to the midnight show, and then we're going to start fucking with him at the midnight show? Or like, what is the thought process after the idea comes to the table?
No, I don't think there was a lot of actual things. Sometimes for us, it was just simply a matter of doing something fun. And especially if like, it was like, you know what, it'd be fun to go live tonight at midnight, or it'd be fun to do the Super Bowl.
Okay, yeah.
Stuff
absolutely.
like that.
I'm sorry. Let me rephrase the question.
Yes.
So Fez agrees to the silence bet, and you go, all right, we have to prepare for the next couple of shows. We've got the midnight one. We've got this. We've got that. Are we going to help Fez get to midnight? Now that you've agreed to do the show, he's going to be on Pal Talk the whole time. Is there a conversation? Let's help him get to midnight, and then we'll plan bits to mess with him. Or we'll do some simple bits during the first show to mess with him, and we'll escalate at midnight. Like, what's the thought process behind the scenes? And
I think the thought process was simply, let's go out and do shows and see if he can stick to this bet.
To it. Okay.
We didn't put a lot in, let's fuck with Fez to get him to break the bet. We wanted to see if he could do it. So we weren't coming up with a ton of stuff. We were just thinking, hey, let's just see if he can do it.
Because it does seem like, to some extent, the callers kind of almost caller pyramided it to, mess with them. Like one was one of my favorites, and Jared's favorites was a caller did Three's Company trivia. Like,
so Fez can't answer because he was brilliant at Three's Company.
Exactly. And
he knew everything about Three's Company.
The guy would answer the wrong thing to Ron's question, and Ron would go, "That's correct," and like just
killing him.
Egg him on. Yeah,
that's fun.
Absolutely.
That's fun. So yeah, you're doing fun little stuff like that, but I think most of that stuff is actually coming up off the cuff a little.
At one point, there's a tour through like students touring the XM studios, and you bring them in and go, "Who wants a picture with a radio star?" And everybody's running up and touching him, and he hates it. And then he gets to talk a little bit, and my favorite part of him talking is he's takes forever to write at first. And in addition to the almost revealing he's coming out of the closet right before, like it just feels like a perfect touch by Fez taking this bit to the next level.
That's
like,
funny.
Only the guy who was having a hard time talking at radio could make not talking on radio this great. Like the Fez is truly shining through all
absolutely.
This.
This is a good bet.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great
it's a solid
one.
bet. It's a unique bet.
And the fact that it's so perfect and on the nose is great, too. So he's going on. You get to midnight. Mooch starts hammering Earl about his lack of production abilities. Earl's like, we could talk man to man. Mooch is like, we're doing it right now. Talk.
We could talk man to man.
Ron's into doing it because he's like, God, I'm just tired. And before the midnight show, everybody's hanging around. There was a big football game on. I believe it was Florida State was playing somebody. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
But the issue was two people know football that were there with you, and you're hosting a show on Pal Talk for everybody to keep them entertained.
Fez knows football.
But isn't allowed to talk.
Oh, shit.
Who's the only other person who knows football?
Well, Ron knows football, but he wasn't there.
Ron wasn't sticking around.
Chris Pepper Stanley knows a little bit about football.
He was busy preparing stuff. So it'd be Earl Douglas.
Earl Douglas knows a little bit about football. He knows about the Jets.
Refused to come on air.
Refused.
For the first half of the game because he had to do production that never turned into anything. And then for the second half, just didn't really answer it. You had to ask questions. Like he wasn't just talking. It was almost like you had to do what I tried to do at the start of the show, where he just wanted you to monologue and he would chime in when you asked him a question.
Wait a second. Now I know what you're talking about. After the Ron and Fez show, and before Ron came back for the midnight show.
Before the midnight show.
This is what I was thinking of. We did we stayed on Pal Talk live.
This is what you were talking about, yeah.
All of that shit. And Ron's like, Davey Mack, you take it over, or you ask questions, or you do this, you do that, like that. And I was excited happy with that. Excited
again,
with
we
that.
already talked about it. That's what you want to be on air.
Okay, so I definitely recall having Earl because yes, I'm here. It's Pal Talk. We're trying to do a little football. Earl, and he would not participate.
So you're already frustrated with him.
Yes.
And so
I had to kill like 4 or 5 hours of Pal Talk.
So the midnight show starts, and you're the second mic because again, Fez can't talk.
Right.
Mooch is there to help out because again, you've already put in a day's worth of work. You should have been home with your family. Ron does point out that after the show, Dave, go home. Do you want to foreshadow guess? Do you want to Do you want to predict? Do you think you went home after the show?
After the midnight show?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
No.
Because how would I get back home?
Why would you? Exactly. But we'll come back to that.
No, but I mean, also the last bus that left New York, because I took the Port Authority bus to Jersey. The last bus that left Port Authority to where I took it in Jersey was either 10:30 or 11. There was no option for me to go back home. I had to stay over. Plus, I had to be there at 8 o'clock the next day.
That is very funny.
There was no point.
Yeah, no point. And you brought up a great point, which was the first. You actually mentioned this. The first time Earl fainted, you go, I can't walk across the bridge every day. Meaning you can't walk across the George Washington Bridge. You can't take a taxi. You have to go on the subway, which you hate.
Yes.
And Ron thinks you mean you're afraid of bridges. And he goes, Jesus Christ, Dave. You're the only one I have left. Like, you can't have mental issues, too. Earl's dropping like fries. We know Fezzy. And like, Dave, I need you to keep it together for me. And the callers are like, keep Dave. One guy called in and was like, God damn it, what's up with Dave being on air? Second mic. And Ron snaps on him and goes, he's all I fucking got. If you got somebody better, send him. But has your back.
Motherfuckers, those, weirdos, just weirdos.
Yeah.
He's trying to move out Fez. No, that wasn't the case. I just want to help out. And if someone says, grab a mic or do this or do that, get a puppet. Davey Mack is all about the team.
You're the Swiss
one's
Army
doing
knife
that.
of the Ron
I had
Fez
to put up with those
yeah.
fucking bozos time and time again.
And look at you. Now you're hanging out with me.
Now I'm hanging out with Raw Dog comedy star Bobby Tamburro.
Yeah, just a hobby. Available
Comedy
now.
album
Yeah.
debuted Wednesday on Raw Dog.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't know you knew that. Thank you so much.
Of course I knew it.
You're a big star with lots of things going on. That's what I meant by that.
Wednesday
Yeah.
was the premiere of Bobby Tamburro. What's it called?
Just a hobby.
Just a Hobby, a comedy album on Raw Dog Radio.
Yes, sir. 99.
Ironically, I mean, obviously I've accomplished, my pinky fingernail has accomplished more at SiriusXM than Earl's entire radio career. Would you agree with that sentiment?
Yeah.
Well, what I'm going to say is now you have a comedy album, you've accomplished more at SiriusXM than even Earl Douglas.
Oh, thank you so much.
Now, yeah, that's official.
Thank you, Dave.
Bobby
I really
Tamburro.
appreciate that.
Out of this world. Get the new comedy album called, what is it called again?
Just a hobby.
Just a Hobby.
And I think you'll like this. I took the Larry Bird Sports Illustrated cover and just put myself in there.
Oh, I love
And then
that. The one where he's on Indiana State?
Yeah. And I put Roy's face
With
on
the
one.
cheerleaders?
Yeah. Roy's one of the cheerleaders. Aaron's one. Luby's one.
I
and
like
then-
how the Larry Bird Sports Illustrated cover was that one for you, and none of the Boston Celtics covers, but
Well-
the Indiana State one.
Yeah, it's me. It's my first album.
No,
he
no,
was in
it's
college at this point.
All
That's
right.
why I was, it's
Fair enough.
But I think you'll like
Good point.
Roy is one of the cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Berg's one of the cheerleaders,
Excellent.
Luby, and then Lindsay Lohan.
Excellent.
Because if she sues me, she'll have to say hi. Anyway, we've gotten way far from this
That's
point.
fine. That's
which
fine.
happened on Raw Dog, Ron and Fez. It's the midnight show.
That's
You're
right.
frustrated with Earl. And the reason I asked you the question.
Frustrated, Robert. Why wouldn't he participate in my
yeah,
fucking
it's
football
terrible.
discussion? What's with this
so
guy?
Mooch is piling on, and you see the opportunity. And normally you'd circle the wagons and have Earl's back. It's us against the world. But you're already mad at him, so you double down. And the reason I asked the question about prep was you go, I had a great guess for this, and you wouldn't even call him. And Ron goes, who? And you go, Ric Flair.
This happens
What
all
did I
the time.
fucking
You'll
do
go-
today? I
you'll
sat
say-
Pal Talk. I got a
you'll
production
say,
piece on
tell-
the air. I
tell
booked
Ron-
the guest.
One at a time.
I fucking tried to book Ric Flair for you and give you all the credit.
No, here's what you did with Ric Flair. You asked me, you went, how do I...
Why didn't you just get him?
No, I said,
I love
Earl,
Ric
call
Flair.
Ric Flair, and you'll be the man, because then we could have...
Well, to beat a man, you got to beat the man.
Dave has his responsibilities, Hicks has his, and they've had to take all your responsibilities off you so that there's more for them to do, and you don't replace it with anything else. You were taken off the board and you didn't replace it. You were taken off Pat Diddy, you didn't replace it.
Because he was just on O&A, and they said he would do our show at midnight, and Earl wouldn't even reach out.
We just even brought up Ric Flair. How weird is this?
Yeah.
I don't remember this.
So,
But it's starting to come back.
because how nuts would it drive Fezzy to have Ric Flair in studio and Fezzy not be able to talk to him?
Oh, my God.
Which is why I thought maybe you guys did have a plan to mess with Fez a little bit.
We could have gotten Ric Flair on the fucking show. And
Absolutely.
Earl fucking put the kibosh on it. He roadblocked that shit.
And
what a surprise.
Putting aside,
what a surprise. If fucking Ric Flair cuts a fucking Fezatorial and Fez is in there and he can't talk.
I am so glad you said that. Because guess what you did next to mess with Fez?
Don't tell me. Fezatorial, Davitorial?
Dave did a Fezatorial.
All right, so now we are messing. Now we are messing a little bit.
This, even the
but it's fun messing.
So the Ric Flair thing, as much as it would be tough for Fez not to be able to talk to him, you're getting Ric Flair on the Ron and Fez show. That's what people forget, right? Like, that's an interview people are going to go back to. Why couldn't Fez talk? Oh, now everybody's watching.
Also, Fez's best thing ever, arguably, was the Nature Boy. So to have the actual Nature Boy on the fucking show would have been goddamn gangbusters, man.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Jesus. He wouldn't do it. Robert, you try and you try. But it was an era where a lot of dragging of the feet. And or sometimes I would wonder if simply because I had the idea, if he rejected it. I felt that way sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes that's...
Les Claypool?
Yeah.
You're not even going to ask Ron about Les Claypool? Obviously, it still upsets me because I'm still concentrating on the whole fucking Les Claypool thing. You don't even ask Ron?
You could go, okay.
Ric Flair, you don't even ask Ron?
Ric Flair, how could you not ask? You know he wants
Come
Ric
on!
Flair.
Of course he would want Ric Flair on. The matter with you? The hell's the matter with you?
Just not good.
Jesus Christ.
But as you start to press him about this Ric Flair thing, Earl starts to go weak in the knees.
Oh,
starts to see double vision and sits down. And again, at this point, most people would back off and go, oh my God, he's going through something. But this isn't the first time we've seen Earl faint when being pressed about a guest, Dave.
Isn't it interesting timing that the fainting spells seem to be brought on when he's screwed up something with his job? Isn't that an interesting coincidence?
And you know what's funny?
Oh, I wonder what the doctors would say about that.
The only thing that's changed between your opinion now and then is that you've gotten nicer. Because you're asking it as a rhetorical question. Whereas the first time he fainted, you literally went, he's mentally ill. He's faking it because he can't handle the stress.
He has a case of bullshititis.
You said he had what the guy in The Sopranos had. He would have panic attacks, and then he would faint. Like, he would fake fainting to try to get the panic attacks to stop so everybody'd leave him alone. You said this day one, and it's amazing. Like, now you're like, maybe. Day one.
Well, no. I was pissed back then.
But day two of him fainting is... Do you remember John Mayer's relationship with the Ron and Fez show? This blew my mind. This is a piece of the history I must have skipped over. Did you ever get to meet John Mayer?
No. Did you know the? Can I tell the whole the beginning and the end? Because it's really quick.
Please do. Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Fast.
Yeah, I would love to hear this.
He was a fan of the Ron and Fez show, but he did he had a moment where he called up Ron and Fez, and Ron's like, John's on the show or something. Our buddy John is on the show. Just trying to talk to him like a friend, you know?
Absolutely.
John Mayer goes, yeah, did anyone tell you this is John Mayer? John Mayer. And he made it sound so douchey and arrogant, like everyone stop what you're doing. The fucking president of the United States is called, or actually some fucking lame singer-songwriter named John Mayer. And he goes, did anyone tell you like who it is? It's John Mayer. It's John Mayer here. So,
and this is before even Continuum came out. So he wasn't.
This is when your body's a playground,
right before.
Yeah,
absolutely, Wonderland.
And the goddamn Robert, I fucking and listen, I didn't do I'm not going to say I'm Mr. Production. We have discussed the difference between being a great producer and being great at production. I'm the greatest producer in the history of the Ron and Fez, Opie and Anthony universe. That's not debatable. The amount of content, the amount of fucking sketches, comedy shit I got in there, it's not even close. But production is what, Earl would do poorly. And, a lot of, it seemed like 7 of the 12 O&A guys all did production.
Seems like Earl did his fair share of producing, too, if you think of all the production pieces made about him sucking at his job.
No, because that was other people doing the production.
No, I'm just saying his producing inspired it. Yeah.
But
like my personal favorite, Joe Cumia, genuine lazy bum.
Black Earl.
I was born and raised in New York City, in a housing project way up in the hood. I dressed in dark clothing, so folks started calling me Black Earl. Oh, and they used to laugh about it, cause deep down they knew they called me that, cause I was as black as soot. I've always been a lazy man, a couch potato with a clicker in my hand. See, motivation I never had, hid in the shadows when the boss got mad. For 20 years I never got a raise. I'm 33 and I never been late. I look busy but I'm not, I'm just walking around. I pick up some papers and I put them back down. One day I'm gonna stop paying my rent, live in a refrigerator box, never get out of bed. I'm Black Earl, a genuine lazy bum. I'll always make it through hard times at any W. Then one day some lame brains came and took O&A away. And at the age of 33, I felt like I was carrying the weight of the whole station on my shoulders. And Ron and Fezzy knew what I was going through. Every morning I'd unlock the door, lay down and I'd sleep a little more. Then I put away the bathroom key. Everybody was depending on me. I eat a chicken wing with lemonade. Lord, give me strength to make another day. Times I felt I couldn't go on. Push a button, throw a switch, answer the phone. Got lost in the van, I did my PSAs. 10 minutes work, gonna take me all day. I'm Black Earl, a genuine lazy bum. I'll always make it through hard times at any W. I could hear Scotzo say, Black Earl, you're a genuine lazy bum. You'll always make it through hard times at any W. Ken and Jeremy say, Black Earl, you're a genuine lazy bum. You'll always make it through hard times at any W.
I just want to play that song. All right, we're back.
But what I'm saying is that.
So you made a production piece about John Mayer being like, do you know this is John? What was the piece like?
No, I did. It was the Star Wars fucking thing. Oh, it was the Fox fanfare. And it was, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Run and Fez Show, the greatest human being of all time, John, the world's champion mayor. You know, like I went so over the top. And that pissed him off, and it's the last time he called the Ron and Fez Show. Relationship over.
Nice.
Because he couldn't take a little fucking production piece that the Dave man created, and it was funny. It was just a joke, John Mayer. And by the way, in case John Mayer is watching or listening, you suck. I've never liked your music, so I personally gave 3 shits if John fucking Mayer stopped calling the Ron and Fez Show. I mean, I can say that now that I don't work for the show anymore, but who gives a fuck about John Mayer?
And as I know, John Mayer is
overrated guitarist.
Well, as I know, John Mayer is a big fan of the Ron and Fez universe and maybe a subscriber to the Patreon. John, big fan. Everything up through Battle Studies was fantastic.
He's not watching this. And the thing about you, John, is somehow, I don't know how you've parlayed this fucking reputation as, well, yeah, you know, you might not like John Mayer, but he's actually a really talented guitarist. He's like a virtuoso. Yeah, sure. I think of, Slash and Angus Young and Chuck Berry and Keith Richards, and then I think of John Mayer.
Hendrix.
You know, I think of Jimi Hendrix and Eddie Van Halen and Robbie Robertson and John Mayer. Who doesn't belong?
Robbie Robertson.
You, John Mayer. Oh, you motherfucker. You son of a bitch.
I just saved John Mayer.
Mayer, you were number 1 on the fucking Shizer this week, but now Robert is after that Robbie Robertson comment. All right, Mayer? You know what you're the mayor of? Dorksville. You like that?
Oh, that was a good one. You got him.
I got you, Mayor. Here's my John Mayer impression. I just thought of this. Hold on. Watch this. I can't do what John Mayer does? Yeah, you can hold it.
Yeah, I'll be your mic stand.
Think I can't fucking do what John Mayer does? Watch this.
Your body is a sexual wonderland.
Ready? Watch this. Come on, girl. Let's go to the beach. Under the boardwalk. We give each other hand jobs. You know, that's just as romantic
good. That's
as
pretty
anything
good.
John Mayer ever wrote.
That's really good. I think he stores his guitars the same way.
I just, I have to write a few more verses, but I'm trying to get that uploaded to Spotify.
Absolutely.
As soon as I can.
So this must have been before you severed permanently the relationship between Ron and Fez and John Mayer, because he had called in, and maybe this was the same call, but I believe he called in and he teased like if he had any news, like if he started dating Jessica Simpson, and he just threw a name out there, he'd call Ron and Fez and make sure they got the exclusive first.
I mean, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's very funny because a week and a half later,
no way.
What story's in the tabloid?
No.
John Mayer broke up with Jessica Simpson because she and her friends couldn't keep, maybe it was more than a week and a half, maybe it was a month and a half, but like way too close. They broke up because her friends couldn't keep their mouth shut that they were dating. At which point Ron goes, Earl, get him on the show. He won't talk to anybody. John was refusing to do any press. So he's like, get him on the show. A couple days later, it comes up. Earl, what's up with Mayer? Earl, oh, well, I got an email back. Hi, Earl. And he says it's addressed to him. So instantly the joke becomes, oh, Earl's best friend, John Mayer. We don't like John Mayer. Earl's best friend, John Mayer. You guys start pressing him. And the whole thing was basically like, I can't really comment on that, but if you hear, it's not my story, it's hers. Ha ha. Like, Earl, did I tell you to send him an email? Get him on the show. They press him and he starts to feign again. And at this point,
every time it's the fainting. He should have thought of different illnesses to go to. Maybe a ringing on the ears, maybe a seizure. Yeah, the fainting. One
every
after
time,
another.
yeah.
I would have done some sort of foaming of the mouth. I don't know if he could have put like a toothpaste in his mouth real quick and done something like that. I don't know. But I would have tried to figure something out rather than going to the faint every single time.
And at this point, everybody's like, Earl, you're dying. Like, you need to
if
go
you're fainting that much,
to the doctor.
He would have a legitimate medical condition if he was fainting. At this point, it was once a week, it felt like.
And he references that Dr. Steve asked him about his medical history, if there was any mental illness or things like that.
There's a lot of mental illness.
And he said no, his parents were really normal, and that the only thing that scared him was that strokes ran in the family, so they agreed to get him an MRI, and he spends a whole show, we won't delve into it, just being a real pussy about getting an MRI. Ron messes with him in a funny way. You tell a story about getting an MRI where the opening track to a song played.
Oh my God. I'll never forget this. I got an ACL tear in my right knee due to baseball. And so I had to fucking get the goddamn MRI done. And they put you in the capsule. They lock you in. It's very claustrophobic. But in order to alleviate some of that shit, some of that anxiety, they allowed you to bring in a CD, give it to the nurse, and play a song. I brought in Rolling Stones' Get Your Ya-Ya's Out, live album, 1969, where they played a few dates at Madison Square Garden. I think the Stones' best live album, personally. And when it went into Jumping Jack Flash, when it went into Jumping Jack Flash, you know how it goes down, 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 down. Okay,
those first two notes and then a pause.
I just got the first note on repeat over and over again for 35 minutes in the MRI because the fucking nurse left. So all I got was not bam, 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 now. I got bam, 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 35 minutes.
And that probably
bam, 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 bam.
That probably ruined your CD.
Ruined the CD. It ruined my brain. I'll never get a fucking MRI again. I don't give a shit if I got a cancer that's growing like fucking Grogu out of my forehead. I don't give a shit. No MRIs for the rest of my fucking life after that goddamn experience.
And you shared that with Earl to mess with him. And after all, basically hijacking a show for being a bitch about getting an MRI, he got a CAT scan. They just put his head in. The rest of his body was perfectly out.
Ain't fair.
And it was
you
10
gotta
minutes.
do the whole capsule, the whole claustrophobic
So-
capsule. That's the key.
What a surprise. Another Earl bit not paying off. But he did say his parents were perfectly normal. Now, Dave, I know you're not quite the rap fan I am, but there's a famous diss line by Ja Rule where he goes, Eminem, you claim your mother's a crackhead, and Kim, his wife, is a knowing slut. So what's your daughter going to be when she grows up?
Jesus.
And then Eminem, ended his career. But the question would be like, all right, Earl, you say your parents are normal, but your sister was a drug addict and your brother's crazy. So you're you. What does that say? Maybe there was some mental illness going on that you weren't aware of if you're raised in it. You know what I mean? Like, and having to break that societal context of this is normal is tough.
I mean, I'm not one to point fingers about, mental insanity and craziness, but, there's something going on, don't you think? Something going on. Hey, maybe he does have normal parents, but then maybe the grandparents were fucking batshit.
Yeah.
There's a distinct possibility that was the case.
And who knows? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. Maybe they tried their best.
I'm not judging.
It may be an out for Earl that he doesn't realize is all I'm offering.
Exactly.
So
Earl, you should think about what Bobby's saying. You should get one of those DNA things, try to find out who your grandparents are, and then blame all this fucking mental insanity on them.
Yeah, but let's start with just seeing how many chromosomes you have, and we can work from there.
Ouch.
I'm just kidding.
Raw dog comedy special. That's the kind of stuff you're going to hear. Do you have any Earl Douglas material on this new album?
Not yet.
Damn it.
On the next one.
You're going to put Earl Douglas jokes on your comedy album?
You guys know Earl Douglas? You don't.
Who here is Earl Anybody, Ron F. Fez fan circa 2008? You guys know Eastside Dave? Huh? No? All right, well, I'm going to plow into this joke anyway.
You may have known him as Black Earl. Nobody. Okay, well, I can't describe him now because I just called him Black Earl.
There's this Hey, guys, do us a favor. Listen to the podcast, then come back here. Okay, tomorrow night, and then watch my set. You're going to get all these jokes tomorrow night.
You know what? They're long episodes. I'll see everybody in a year.
Yeah, with 1 year. No. I love Earl Douglas so much.
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw that out there.
So he starts to faint again.
He did.
The show goes on.
Fucking fainting.
Now it's a midnight show. So I love Chris Pepper Stanley, but if given the opportunity to drink in that era, Chris Stanley was drinking.
Sure, why not?
He's blitzed. He's so blitzed.
We all were, well, me and him.
Well, he's so blitzed that it's not an option for him to be on air.
Oh,
like he's able to run the board. He's able to run the board, but he's not making sense, and his timing's a little off on air. He's doing great. Like the board, you wouldn't notice if nobody brought it up, but they go, Stanley sloshed or something, like whatever the phrasing was in 2009. And
that's when this was, 2009.
I just threw that date out there, but could have been.
Yeah, maybe.
When did Continuum come out? Because that's when this happened. But anyway, back to the story. So you're drunk. You continue to get drunk. At one point, Patty calls in.
Stalker Patty?
No.
Nope.
Your friend Patty, who he could have played ball for...
Oh, my friend Pat Clark.
Pat Clark,
who played baseball for Villanova.
Okay.
And was also an Abercrombie and Fitch model. Did you know this? And was put into People magazine as like the 25 most eligible New York bachelors.
Wow.
He's a good-looking guy. And when were...
Is it true that he realized he could make more money doing finance on Wall Street than he could playing AA ball?
Yeah, that's basically what happened to him. But we were on we were walking one day. We grew up at the Jersey Shore. We're walking about 15 years old. And we're walking on the boardwalk one day. And this woman comes up and she goes, oh my God. She goes, I'm from Abercrombie and Fitch. And she goes, we absolutely need to bring you into our agency ASAP. And she hands Pat the card. I go to her and I go, can I get one of those cards? And she goes, no, we're not interested in you. in any way, shape, or form. Swear to God, true story.
What a cunt.
Like, straight up said, no, absolutely not. You're too ugly. No, we're going to give it to him, though. He can have the card. And she was practically like, don't share the card with your fucking redheaded friend there.
You showed her.
Goddamn
Look at you
Abercrombie
today.
and Fitch, bitch.
Yeah. I had a similar
Abercrombie and bitch.
Ooh.
People don't blow it up anymore, I don't think, but I'm doing it.
We're going
I'm
to.
fucking doing
we
it.
could probably even throw a sick graphic,
people don't
maybe.
blow up the knucks, but I always liked that. I always thought it was fun.
My generation was Nuck If You Buck. But back to this story, I had an Abercrombie and Fitch similar thing. A woman came up and was like, a guy came up and was like, hey, I like girls that wear Abercrombie and Fitch. Chinese food makes me sick. And it turns out it was the bare naked ladies.
Fucking pathetic.
Ah,
You just quoted the bare naked lady song.
I don't even think it's the bare naked ladies, which is even sadder.
I always hated that band so much.
Chickadee China, the
Just
Chinese
whatever.
chicken,
The fast talking.
Yeah.
Were they rappers or?
Well, they're whites. They didn't want to take that title. We're rockers.
Their rock was pussy-ish, and their rapping was pussy-ish too.
Yeah.
They were like the softest rap rock band of all.
Exactly.
Like the exact opposite of like a Rage Against the Machine. Hell, shit, they even fucking made like Limp Bizkit look like
hard,
AC/DC compared to those guys.
You know, fellas, I did a
fucking
survey.
bare naked ladies, even their name. Always hated those guys. From Canada? Or are they American? I feel like they're from Canada. Okay.
I based on the bare naked part.
This ain't a fucking bare naked ladies retrospective. This is a fucking, satellite radio retrospective. Thank you very much.
Tune into Davey Max, bare naked.
Hey, that's a Patreon show right there.
That is a good Patreon show. But so Patty calls in and you guys make plans to meet up after the show.
Yes.
To continue drinking.
Yeah, and we did. I remember. Pat got there. We got out, baby.
At which point, when you make this plan on air, by the way, he calls the hotline. Ron goes, Dave, go home when you're done with the show.
Too late.
At that point, and now you know you're meeting up with Patty, so you're in what kind of drinking mood? Excited. You're going to drink harder.
Happy, excited drinking mood.
Yes.
But again, this needs to be. I couldn't go home.
No, I get that. Yeah, absolutely. I get that. But it plays into why Ron gets so angry later, I think.
Oh.
If that makes any sense. So you're excited. You keep drinking. You drink to the point that you invite Radio Shark in.
Oh, no.
At which point Ron goes, if he sets off a stink bomb, your career's over. And that sobers you up enough to like make sure he doesn't come in. You tell him to meet Patty. Like you're like, hang outside with Patty and then we'll all go drinking together. So
Yeah. No Radio Shark. And he never went in there, right?
He never went in.
No,
No.
thank God.
You,
Okay,
you,
good.
Like literally
Good.
Ron threatening you.
Good.
It's like when you see that taillights behind you and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm sober now.
No, yeah. Exactly. Okay.
So you had that moment of clarity.
All right.
The show ends. Fez gets off some good lines via paper. He's gotten faster at the writing at this point, which is good. And the plan becomes, because again, Chris is gone. You're gone. Drunk at this point.
Drunk.
Yeah. Still there. Doing a great job,
Right.
by the way.
Thank
Entertaining
you.
radio. But the plan becomes Fez is going to stay all night and he's going to have to stay through O&A's show. And Earl will protect Fez and I forget whoever had the
Oh, my
scribe thing
God.
with him. And Dave, I look up to you more than anybody else in the world. But this really does kind of feel like when Rodman went and joined the New World Order. Like you left Jordan hanging, man.
Who?
You.
Me?
You left Fez, the Michael Jordan of the team, out there on a limb
Why?
by
What did
himself.
I do?
You're too drunk to protect him. We've seen literally the last episode we did. You're the guy who goes in and puts O&A in their face, or in their place, in their face.
Yeah, but
on
maybe
their
like
show.
it was time for like a little something different, a little something new. Also,
And
as you pointed out, I had literally just hosted 4 hours of fucking shit on Pal Talk.
Absolutely.
Like it was a huge Pal Talk broadcast, man.
And
then the midnight show.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I deserved a little drinsky.
I give you the drinsky
and how
pass.
about Earl Douglas just getting the job done for a change?
Oh,
Is that possible?
no.
There you go, then.
But I get where you're coming from. The issue is, it would have been fine if they were just giving Fezzy a normal treatment. But Ron egged on O&A. Was like, what was that, Fez, you said before you went silent? That they're too pussy these days to get you to, and like, just really leans into him. And it feels like Ron respects those guys, obviously, and liked them both, but really liked to, when he could, kind of put the elbow in the ribs and be like, let's turn it on a little bit.
No, he's just trying
to make good radio. That's what I'm saying, to get them to engage a little bit.
More of trying to get a little something going with Fez than O&A.
Exactly. It's he's working it like Carney.
Yeah.
He's making it a good sale. That's all.
Yeah.
I'm not criticizing. I was almost.
No, I didn't think you were.
I just want to be clear.
Okay.
The GOAT.
All right.
Of hosts.
Okay.
Because you're the GOAT of producers. Not the fainting goat. Not the fainting goat, of course.
No. I'm not a fucking fainting goat. I never fainted I fainted one time. One fucking time in my entire life. Went to Great Adventure on October 30th, 5 or 6 years ago, and they said if you donate a pint of blood, you get admission for free.
Yeah.
So I went in there.
By the way,
what's that?
Who'd you go with?
I forget.
Oh, okay.
But, well, maybe longer than that. I guess it was longer than that. I believe my ex.
Yeah, I believe it was your ex, and she couldn't ride any of the rides because Ron gave you a real hard time about that you just went to the amusement park by yourself to ride.
No, I never went in. That was all for. That was all.
No, it was
if
just
I
all.
said that,
That
was bullshit.
It was an on-air bit. Yeah.
But I will say we did give blood to get in for free. So if you want to mock me for being a cheapskate, that's fine. But the funny thing is, the nurses were dressed up like zombies. Have you ever given a pint of blood?
Yeah.
You feel lightheaded.
Yeah.
And when you want to talk to the nurse and ask for maybe a cup of orange juice and a cookie, it's nice to see like a regular human nurse rather than one who has fucking makeup on to look like they're goddamn possessed and you're already lightheaded and you already fucked up and you gave a pint of blood. Yeah, that's what I actually passed out. That was the one time I can recall actually passing out.
My senior year of high school.
Thank you. That's my fainting.
I lost a bunch of weight going into my senior year for football. Kind of like now. I'm same weight range and wasn't eating as much, but there was a girl I was trying to impress and she was really into giving blood. So I was like, I'm 18. I'll go get blood.
There you go.
Gave blood on an empty stomach.
Yeah.
And you know how you really impress the girl that you're giving blood with?
How?
If the minute you get done, you stand up, get super lightheaded, think you're going to faint, but instead projectile vomit.
Oh, no. Not on her.
No, thank God.
All right.
I'm a good puker. I hit the trash can. I hit my marks. I puke a lot. It's a real problem.
Yeah. But that's the only time I think I've ever fainted. No, it's always been about the blood, giving the blood. I think I gave blood one other time, and I fainted there too. And I said, "That's it for me with the blood." Sorry.
I'm glad you brought that up because I think it does. If we're gonna pretend that Earl's actually fainting, which as we pointed out, you think he wasn't. No. I think he wasn't. But let's say hypothetically he was. There are some people who handle stress that way, and it's just there are two different types of people. Some people,
I guess you're right,
when they're put under stress, play their best, right? You and I joke. You egg me on before the show. I egg you on when you're hosting. And I think, honestly, it brings the best out of both of us. I know you don't like that.
I don't know about that.
But you rise to the occasion. We've talked a number of stories when the pressure's on. Davey Max got ice water in its veins.
I have a short memory.
I like to
I'm like Mariano Rivera. I'm going to come out there and I'm going to close. And if I get, there are going to be games where I give up a couple runs. Maybe I give up a double and a home run. It happens. And you lose. And you walk off the field. And you were the reason for the loss. Are you going to cry about it? Are you going to faint?
No.
Are you going to smell Febreze and black out? No, you get back on the mound the next night and you close that fucker out.
It's called experience.
What I do.
Absolutely.
It's what I do,
think I'm
Bobby.
the same way. Some people, though, when they're faced with pressure, fake a back injury, go down, faint. Sometimes they call out somebody using their own Shizer list, and then you respond, and it takes 6 months and we haven't heard anything.
For anyone who didn't hear the third episode of Davey Max Tales from the Satellite, you'll understand what Robert is saying. I had to call out Earl Douglas and put him on the Shizer list several times. That was a very vicious episode against Earl on my behalf.
He tried to put you on your own Shizer list.
It was a bizarre move.
It was necessary.
It was a bizarre move. I'm past it now, but I thank you for bringing it up. Check out episode 3 of Tales from the Satellite. You want to hear that one?
Absolutely. I'm guessing must be writing his response in a stone tablet.
Hey, actually, maybe not. He could be writing it in a regular notebook. Remember, he's very slow. See, here's the thing about him. Well, he's sloth-like.
Yeah, well,
he doesn't have.
I see what you're saying. I thought what you meant is it's taken so long. He went out like old ages and got papyrus and pressed it down.
He writes like this. Dave. This is how he writes. D-A-V-E. See, I mean, just writing the word Dave is going to take a long time.
Yeah, that way. I just kind of envisioned him writing like this.
Whoa. No, but God bless him.
Yeah. It's good to see he's back. So the night show ends. Earl is now the protector. Normally you'd step up, but we've got a fired up O&A. Earl, Fez, who can't talk at this point, not even using the notebook, are on the O&A show.
Yeah.
And at this point, I'd kind of like to segue to Ron's perspective a little bit. Because when he starts the Ron and Fez show, and that's what we're talking about here, he kind of gives what happened to him at this point. So he went home, slept. He's walking in.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to see how it's going, so he calls all of his boys.
Okay.
Right? But much like Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, no one's awake with Ron. Right?
Uh-oh.
His Peter, right-hand man, not there. Hungover.
Not awake.
Not awake.
Okay.
I think you found somewhere in Sirius to crash for a couple hours and just close your eyes.
That is the truth.
Hey, we've all seen that, right? Ooh,
Yeah.
Can you twist that again?
And it's possible, Robert, since it may come out, it may not come out. I believe I did pee-pee in the Opie and Anthony office. Unlike Earl Douglas, I don't lie or try to set other people up. How like Earl, went into the O&A office, changed the TVs from the Grammys to a Yankee game, and that fucked up their show the next day because they didn't have any of the audio recorded.
Yeah, but I heard he took full responsibility for that.
No, he blamed it on me. So unlike Earl, I won't blame it on Earl. I pee-peed in the Opie and Anthony office. I got that drunk that I may have pee-peed it in the office.
What did you...
Or just wet my pants.
But you had a good night with Radio Shark and Patty.
Yeah, because they had a couch.
Yeah.
So I think I went into their office
to sleep
and slept, but it's possible I wet my pants and then wet the couch. Again, this wasn't, it's just one of those things that happens, sometimes.
Blame it on Bobo.
Exactly.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah, we've been there.
Peeing our pants, blaming Bobo. So you're asleep. You had a great night with Patty and the Radio Shark. I'm sure you guys had great conversation. What was that like? You said you remember the night. What'd you do? We'll just get to that quick.
I mean, I just talked to Pat for a while about baseball. Radio Shark, I don't know. You just smile or whatever he says. I feel like Radio Shark, though, didn't actually come and hang with me and Pat at the bar.
He probably just wanted to get in.
He was outside, but once he couldn't get in to the SiriusXM studios, he wasn't really interested in just hanging out with us.
Makes sense.
So when Pat and I hung out at the bar by ourselves.
Okay. And so you and Pat, you're there. I think Chris Stanley said he was trying to cop at that point as a joke because he was also sleeping it off. And so Ron ends up calling Fez's phone, gets somebody who doesn't really know what's going on because Fez can't talk. Fez thinks it's Ron messing with him and assumes one of you guys is putting him up to it.
Oh, my God.
So somebody who doesn't really know the situation has the phone. Ron's like, what the fuck? I'm just going to head in. Takes the subway. At this point, there's a bit going on O&A, and Ron, Fez, is up, and Earl are up next. So Ron's like, oh boy, this is going well. I hope they can do something that people will remember after this. And he goes into the subway, gets Radio Silence.
Oh, no.
And comes out and sees.
And then, he comes out, and there's a goddamn catastrophe.
An ambulance.
Yeah, just chaos, insanity. A fucking ambulance?
Yeah.
As you pointed out.
And instantly,
God damn.
Because of all the history we've given, Ron says, please don't let that be my guys.
I knew we were fucked once Earl did it. I knew it.
And so he walks up, and sure enough, who does he see getting wheeled into the gurney but Earl Douglas, who gives him the thumbs up like a paralyzed player in football.
Like a football player.
Come on.
Gives him the thumbs up. He's faking. He's giving Ron the thumbs up when he is literally faking.
Just walking up the street. See an ambulance out front of our building, and I think to myself, all right, when I left my house to walk over here, everything was fine. See an ambulance out front. That can't be ours. That cannot be here for us. Then I see Earl Douglas being pushed into the ambulance. Ah, what a pain in the ass. And I guess my entire staff is either hungover or wired. Because why not use this premise as just a chance to, instead of thinking, hey, how can we all make something cool for the whole team, the whole channel, the whole company? Hey, how do I turn this into fun little party time for myself? Earl will find a way. He always finds a way. It's amazing. Now he's got all these people going straight up the corporate ladder, paying attention to something that he has now done dozens of times. The slightest bit of stress and the fainting goat hits. But, of course, I'm not allowed to say that because EMTs were here and we have to act like, let's let this all go through. Let's make sure he gets the sign-off. It's like a crazy girlfriend. He's absolutely like a crazy girlfriend.
By the way, for the record, when Earl fainted, okay, I went into the studio and tried to get him up. Okay, Earl, I don't understand the strategy. The strategy was, hey, O&A are trying to get Fez to talk. Fez is in there. Fez wasn't going to talk. He's not going to fucking budge. He's great at bits.
Yeah.
So what the fuck? So I don't even know why Earl, but then Earl just, he freaked out. He was like, well, I'm worried that Fez will talk, so I'm going to faint. He stays on the ground. Opie and Anthony start saying, you know, we're going to call an ambulance. We're going to call an ambulance. I went into the studio. I told Earl, get up. I didn't make a big deal about it because it was I didn't want to be on the air.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I handed him a fucking index card. I wish I saved it. That said, get the fuck up. Do not let them call an ambulance. We will get in trouble. We're going to get in trouble.
Oh, and you sure did. But I
told him.
Let's just break down what happened.
Okay.
So basically they're on, and the bit that Opie comes up with, and it's a pretty solid one, is basically Opie distracts Earl, like, oh, I'm going to get your guy. And then Danny steps in and is like, oh, I'm going to get the Fez. And while they're doing that, Sam's just spraying Earl with liquid poo. Or not Earl, Fez with liquid poo. Fez can't say anything because he can't talk, and Earl's distracted by Danny. It's really a fun bit.
Yeah.
But the smell of poo starts to overtake the room. It might be overwhelming.
It may
remind Earl of bodily fluids. And we know when Earl can't handle bodily fluids, what does he do?
He faints.
He faints. And how do we know that? Because you got a tattoo. You got one of your board bets.
Oh, that's right.
What tattoo did you have to get?
I got the whack bag tattoo, and it's over here, but it's no longer there. And I got the Lucky Boy tattoo.
Yeah,
That's still there.
So basically, if the audience doesn't remember, you lost a bet, so you had to get the whack bag tattoo. It's on your right arm. The audience may not remember this about you, but Dave, you like pain. It gets you going.
I'm not afraid of it. I wouldn't say I like it. I said I would say I'm not afraid of it. If it is necessary for the radio, pain means nothing to me. In regular life, I'm a human being. If pain hurts, I don't like to bleed.
What about like in the bedroom?
Oh,
this was your character at the time. That's why I'm asking, because at
the time,
yeah, it was kind of known that you like to get smacked around in the bedroom, kind of dominated.
Yeah, I guess so.
So
time,
all kind of high on the pain of the first tattoo. You go, I got to balance this out. I got to get something positive. And they go, you should just quit. Like literally the job. And you go, how about this? I won't quit. Yeah, I'm going to get that on there. And then Ron kind of talks you into Lucky Boy. But the whole time he's going, don't get a tattoo. You already got one. You don't need to get another. But talks you into Lucky Boy. And then you get a Lucky Boy tattoo. And there are certain connotations around that.
I guess it means when you're in prison, if they see a tattoo that says Lucky Boy, you're supposed to be the first bitch who gets fucked in the ass by the big guy.
Because
that's what Lucky Boy means. It means you're the bottom in the prison there.
Yeah, I'm sure it has different things, different areas, but whatever. It was just a fun bit. But while you're getting the tattoo, you start to bleed. They make Earl go in and look at it, and what does Earl do?
He is about to faint.
The fainting
I
goat
remember him getting the
starts to go
garbage
down,
can and
yep.
doing the dry heaves.
Yep.
And doing things like that.
And again, at this point, it's become so known that Earl not only, like, it's beyond accepted that Earl does nothing. Like, it's not even a joke when you say it to him anymore. It's just more like Earl, the guy who does nothing.
It's
just a
interesting,
statement. Now it's Earl, the guy who faints.
Yeah.
And at this point, Ron goes, like, what animal is that? And one of the callers eventually tells him it's goats that faint.
The fainting goat.
And he dons him the nickname Febreze the fainting goat. Which is important because as Fez is getting sprayed with liquid poo, he's so overwhelmed. Danny goes to make a move for Fez. Earl goes to tackle him. Danny picks Earl up, and Earl goes out like a sack of bricks. He faints, lands on his head, and everyone in the room at this point is actually freaked out because Opie and Anthony doesn't have quite the experience with Earl's fainting that you have. They know his ineptitude.
Yeah, right.
They're very familiar. Everybody knows it's
and
Opie's
I do
favor.
remember him crashing to the floor and maybe on a part of the floor that was wood. But trust me when I tell you, we had the walls that were glass. So we were all able to see what was going on. He did not hit his head or anything. It was just the sound of his hands hitting the wood. But there was a loud smacking sound. So, I mean, okay, I could understand, like, trying to sell that. But not sell it to the point where you're unconscious.
Yeah.
And the fucking people are going to call the goddamn ambulance on you.
Exactly. And there's a huge debate about where he landed. So, you're right. Norton points out, and to be clear, the concern is not about Earl's health. Okay, Opie and Anthony have been fired at, a dozen times at this point? The loudest and most clear call the EMT's voice in the room is Jim Norton. And it is 100% out of self-preservation. He wants to be able to say they did everything they could in their power.
I know. Will you guys relax? Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. Talk about overreaction. We're just having some fun over here. But my God, they had to go all the fucking call the goddamn 911. We're calling 911. We're radio folk.
And we already
Come
talked
on,
about
bro.
it. That's the one rule.
That was some soft ass shit.
I'll never forget my dad told me this story my first day of contact football. And he was like, one day your uncle was playing and he got hit hard and he laid down and they had to bring the trainers out and eventually they made him get up. And I just remember my dad yelling down from the stands, "You better be dead." You could be injured on the side. Don't let people see you hurt, right? Go get out of the room.
Yeah.
Walk yourself to the hospital. I don't remember what happened. Story works perfect then.
Yeah.
The story Earl went with the whole time.
There was no reason for it. There was no reason to sell this hard. Because then the whole thing became, well, we got to get an ambulance here. And they were going to call the ambulance. And it was so simple. I gave them that index card. Please
don't
get
call
up.
the ambulance. Yeah. Even
They're
again,
calling an ambulance.
I'll call you a cab. We'll go to the hospital together. I'll call Ron, explain what happened, and tell him I'm in a cab with you to the hospital. He'll be frustrated, but he won't be irate. He'll understand.
It's amazing sometimes that someone can make so many, he has multiple decisions to make, and he makes the wrong decision every single time on a streak.
Especially
a fucking streak of
especially
bad decisions Earl Douglas is making right now.
After a streak of fainting, it's not the end of the world. You were literally poisoned. You knew you had to go to the emergency room and die, and you had to walk.
Right.
Earl, who's done this
but the
a
guy who
million
faked
times,
the fucking sickness and
gets the
and
EMTs.
pretends, gets the goddamn EMTs and the 911 called, and he's
Gets
giving
brought
the
out
thumbs up
on a fucking gurney.
he's fucking Greg Bird.
Ron hears this story.
Or one of the birds.
Not from you, who I imagine is trying to clean up the mess at this point. Do damage control. Not from Chris Pepper, who's coming in and has to now get the show ready because that's Earl's job. So now you and Chris are splitting duties with Pitsy, who I'm sure was also out of it or something. He
was in control.
But I'm saying I think he was hungover and tired too from the midnight show as well. But he doesn't come up as much in the thrashing.
Yeah, I don't think he was drinking that much that day. I mean, Pitsy likes to have a few cocktails like anybody, but not that day. At least I don't remember that.
maybe he was okay then because, like I said, Ron, it's clear he's mad when he talks on Ron
he's
and
mad
Fez.
at all of us.
But before he even gets to you guys, he hears the story from Earl, knows what's going on upstairs, and sprints inside to the PDs. Because at this point, he realizes Opie and Anthony are going to panic all weekend. It's Friday. It was the perfect end of a bit.
It was Friday.
Opie and Anthony will panic all weekend. Jimmy's certainly already panicking. But most importantly, poor Danny thinks his job's gone. So Ron needs to get in there and try to save the situation before it escalates.
Well, there were no PDs there at the studio, but it's possible he called them.
He may have called them. There were people, there was management there talking and getting statements. So I don't know who it was, but he runs in and he goes, he's a fainting goat. And they go, what? And so Ron literally has to pull up on YouTube examples of fainting goats, which is if you scream at a goat, it goes down, to explain. And he's like, at this point, we know these guys like a month, Earl. Now I'm in there explaining to the PD what a fainting goat is. So he does that, and the show starts. And the opening's fine, and Ron is mad.
Yeah, he was mad at all of us.
Normally, the one of my favorite parts of Ron and Fez is not knowing what's being overhyped into a
What
work
would you like to know? Can I get a Guinness for this very rough part?
Right now, we're going to take a brief 5-minute break, and we will be right back before we get into the end of this story.
The doctors looked into his head. They don't see anything they said. It doesn't matter where he is. Oh, the whole world's his bed. You better catch him, there he goes. Oh, the fainting goes. His boss to tell him all the things he knows. But when it's time for him to talk, it falls into his potatoes. You better catch him, there he goes. Oh, the fainting 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 goes.
We're back. Wow, nope, that's just my headphones. Cool.
It's good to be back.
It's good to be back. Before we get into
had a little break, I will say, Robert and I got into a fist fight, and that's just healthy between men. Men don't faint, men fight. We got the fight out of the system. You got some good shots in. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, and
but now I feel like it was a cathartic thing.
Yeah,
and we're ready to take it home.
We're like Apollo and Rocky.
I've been loving the episode.
Yeah, and I've been loving you, babe.
Anytime I can shit on Earl, it's a good day for the Dave man.
Both metaphorically and literally, as we learned. So before we get into the Ron and Fez show, it is kind of funny how just some people become synonymous with animals, right? Like you got Kobe, the Black Mamba.
Black Mamba.
Right? You've got you, the goat, Jordan, the goat, Taylor Swift, the goat. Mm-hmm. We've got Earl, the fainting goat.
Earl Douglas, yeah.
When you think horse,
fainting goat.
You think
Secretariat?
No, the person, horse. John
Elway.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say it's crystal clear that it's Sarah Jessica Parker.
Sarah Jessica Parker. I always thought that John Elway looked more like a horse than Sarah Jessica Parker. And I've been trying to get on the John Elway has a horse face, and he fucking plays for the Broncos, which are horses.
I could not agree with you more. He looks like a horse.
He looks most like a horse. However, if a horse could be a human.
There are very few things that are funnier and meaner to a girl than to call her something face. Like you can.
There's a referee at AEW. Who's a female that everyone's calling horse face.
Yeah,
and she gets one fucking horse meme and horse gif after another. This poor fucking lady. Her name is Aubrey Edwards,
but it is hilarious.
She can't do one goddamn. She could tweet out, "Happy birthday, mom," and then the comment section will be 900 fucking horse pictures.
And face,
poor lady,
just so fun to, as you know, face. In college, we did therapy. It's called Thon. It's like a charity thing you do. You dance for 46 hours, and I was our chair for the group I was in. And the group we were paired up with had a girl who was in charge, and she was a bit of a bitch. And one night I drank a bottle of wine before our social with them and spent the entire social going, "Hey, you see old shovel face over there?" And we didn't do Thon with them anymore. So
Shovel face is good.
Yeah, not as good as John Mayer, but I also am great at severing relationships.
They would tell you this John Mayer car? Don't you? Is it like a bigger welcome for me, John Mayer? No, actually, John, it's, hi, John, how are you? That's actually an appropriate introduction for you.
Yeah, haven't you done radio before? We're supposed to pretend like we know each other well.
Yeah.
It's called chemistry.
I know.
But my favorite thing about John Mayer, I'll say this, is the childish Gambino line. I've seen the world whole like John Mayer's penis hole. It's a great line.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
He's Lando.
Yeah,
Lando Calrissian.
Now he is, yeah. It's
Can't believe
Donald
Lando
Glover.
fucking said that
yeah,
shit.
It's very funny. You know who encouraged him to be a rapper?
Who?
Tina Fey.
Encouraged Lando.
Yeah. When he was a writer.
What's the guy's name again? Donald
Glover.
Glover.
Yeah,
Donald Glover.
Yeah. He was a writer for 30 Rock, and he was like, heard him rapping and was like, "Do you do that?" And he was like,
"My, what do we have here?" I think if they need, if Donald Glover won't do that fucking Lando series for Disney Plus, Dave, man. Now,
I love it.
Here's the problem. We don't want to get the fucking, it's 2023. You can't do blackface anymore, Robert. I know you work for a crazy-ass company on 35th Street. I don't do blackface.
No, I get that.
Okay, so I don't know how I'm going to be able to pull it off, but maybe Lando had some sort of accident where he got a lot paler and the hair turned red.
Now, and I'm not going to use the G word, but as someone who phenotypically presents the way you do, I don't know if you've followed this. There's a new trend that's actually happening in a lot of these comic book movies, which is they're replacing the typical ginger friend with an African American. So you could almost be woke by becoming Landau. Like as crazy as that sounds.
Lando. It's Lando.
Oh, Dave Landau. That's what we're talking about, right?
I was thinking John Landau.
Oh,
but
I was like, damn, it's gonna be hard for Dave to be that short.
I mean, come on, listen to the voice. I mean,
let me
hey,
close my
Chewbacca,
eyes.
You still hanging around with that loser? My, what do we got here? Hello, I'm Lando. I'm Lando Calrissian. I'm the administrator of this facility.
I thought Charles Gambino was here. That's great.
Well, I do more of a Billy D.
I couldn't remember his name, but you nailed it, buddy.
My, what do we have here?
But yeah, Tina Fey was the one who encouraged him to rap.
How you doing, Chewbacca? You still hanging around with that loser? What have you done to my ship?
Ooh.
This deal's getting worse all the time.
These ain't the rims.
I could be Lando. Now you have me fucking calling him Landau. You son of a bitch. All right, wait. Are we talking about Earl Douglas still? Or have we just gone into a...
No, I was just telling you a fun fact. Okay. Tina Fey got him to rap, and there's actually a song, if you look it up, where you can hear her rapping as a thank you.
Oh.
It's very funny.
I don't know if okay.
She's not good at rapping. Anyway, how do we...
It's Earl Douglas. We are at the moment of truth. He has fainted.
No. Ron starts the Ron and Fez show.
Okay.
And we were talking about anger.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's hard to tell when Ron's actually angry or when he's faking it.
I'll tell you everything you want to know.
Oh,
talk to me.
I was just going to tell you, this time is not one of those. It is clear to anyone who listens to the Ron and Fez show, Ron is irate with everybody.
Okay.
And
if it's clear, then that's accurate.
Let me ask you this. How do you know best that Ron was mad at you? How could you tell best that Ron was mad at you? Because Jared actually had a theory, and I think it's pretty good.
Oh, I want to hear Jared's theory before I tell you.
Jared's theory was you could tell you were actually in trouble on the Ron and Fez show. Someone was actually in trouble if they got no airtime.
That's a good call. Jared's right. Jared's right.
And several times throughout this, Ron
did the whole show by himself, correct?
Correct.
The whole show.
With the callers, because people tried to help several times.
He took calls, but we were all iced out. Fez couldn't talk. Earl's fucking the ambulance dude. Even though I went in and told Earl, please get up, handed him the index card, get up. They're going to call the ambulance. We're going to get fucked. Think about it. If the only thing that could not happen was the ambulance, everything else was fine.
Yeah,
Fez, Earl even fainting or passing out, but then get the fuck up once they start threatening to call 911.
If you're not there to start the show because you walked Earl to an urgent care to get checked out quick, Ron's going to be mad. He's like, he would say something like, why couldn't one of the 35 O&A producers have taken him or something? But he's going to get it. And at the end of the show, he's going to pull you aside and go, I know we could have done it better, but you did the right thing.
All he had to do was
just
just
let him in the ambulance.
Yeah.
You didn't let him in the
all
ambulance.
you had to do, bro. That's all you had to do. And so he was mad. He was, we were iced out for the entire episode, as I just said.
Yeah, it's very fitting Oppenheimer just came out because at one point they're like, just hit the ocean. He's like, no, I'm hitting them to send a message. And they're like, there are going to be innocents caught in the way. And he's like, I don't care. And Ron is just, and honestly, it's some of the funniest radio. You try to chime in at one point and he goes,
well, because once you call the ambulance, go ahead.
He goes, Dave, get off the air. I don't want you on air. And then he goes, I'd send you home, but you got no place to go. And saying like your wife's mad that you didn't come home last night. And you go to, and he goes, what happened? Did you talk to her? And you go, yeah, like this morning she seemed fine. And he goes, great, way to make it dramatic for air, idiot. And like puts you in the corner, like just slams you down right away. Pitsy, he goes, he doesn't mention Pitsy. Pepper, he kind of is mad at, but he kind of lets off the hook as like, Pepper's an addict.
Fucking lucky. You know, Chris
I mean,
Pepper
he's still
Stanley,
shitting on him.
Let me explain something to you. You're a fucking lucky duck. Okay? I apologize for my language, but he is a goddamn lucky duck. He loses a bet. He doesn't have to do the beard porn, even though he was the one who put himself on the line for it. He gets Davey Mack to do it. And I'm the only one who told Earl, get the fuck up. Yet I gotta take goddamn Chris Pepper Stanley's bullets. I was the only one. And I hosted a fucking Pal Talk show for 5 hours. Why am I getting involved with the... Come on, man.
Do you want an honest answer? It's very simple. It's why Pippin's not brought up in the GOAT debate. Because you took the bullets, you get success for the highs, but you also get critiqued for all the lows because it's almost like you were the leaders of that production crew. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
You're the representative.
But I
and
tried
that's
to
why,
lead. If Michael gives fucking Scotty the goddamn basketball and there's no one there and he's not being guarded, he's 3 feet away from the hoop, all you have to do, Scotty, is dunk. You don't have to fucking make it complicated and do some sort of spin move and weird-ass fucking finger roll. And that's what Earl Douglas was doing. All he had to do was get up.
Oh, I know.
Instead, he made it fancy, and we all got fucked because of it.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Earl.
You know that. I know that. But unfortunately,
I'll get fired up over here.
The beat writers in Chicago are going to write up Jordan passed up a game-winning shot and Pippen missed. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to get the blame, and I get that.
Thanks, Earl.
But that's why people are going to be talking about Davey Mack years from now. You know what I mean? Like, honestly,
even 50 years from now, I think they'll be talking about me.
I think in Gilgamesh, the final tale is immortality's through what you've done.
I feel like that's the case.
You're getting there.
I feel like I'm sort of like Van Gogh. At certain point, they're going to realize, oh, this guy's like the greatest of all time.
Absolutely.
Now, I did ask a psychic about this, and she confirmed that this was going to happen, that I would get more famous, unfortunately, after I died.
Yeah.
She gave the year 3000 AD. So we do have to wait a little bit for my fame to occur after death, but around 3000 AD, I'll finally get my fucking flowers, as they say, which I deserve.
I hope I'm like one of the disciples there's like a bunch of conspiracies about. Like, is he gay? Is he trans? What's going on with
If
him?
you're talking about Robert, the answer is yes. Ladies and gentlemen, okay.
Well, now, speaking of Van Gogh, at this point, Ron wants to cut off your ear. I should have said that better.
My ear?
Yeah, just he's that angry at you that he would cut off your ear like Van Gogh.
Jesus Christ.
He is just
No, he's
nuclear.
mad. He's livid. The whole thing has turned from a fun little thing where we were all heroes, by the way. Like, from the Thursday show into the post Ron and Fez show, Pal Talk broadcast, dare I say, even into the midnight broadcast, we were all kind of heroes. It was all because of Earl, his fucking stupid ass shit that put us in the doghouse. One fucking idiot put us all in the doghouse. Why am I fucking... God damn it, you, Earl.
Earl?
He's not... I mean, but this is the type of stupid shit where you can't possibly recover from this. It's not like you're ever going to get a job in satellite radio again.
No, exactly. And especially if you like leave at the end of this and you're not going to go away for a bunch of years and then get brought back. Anyway.
I'm sure he's come back and has improved, though.
Yeah, I'm sure
he's
he
a
wouldn't.
different Earl Douglas.
I mean,
he brings the fire and the excitement. He's doing impressions.
I'm sure.
Writes comedy sketches. Does he do stuff like that? Board gossip type of Guy Garrison type stuff. He does games.
No,
all the games that confessions, different stories and stuff.
No,
he throws himself under the bus, but he does so for the entertainment of millions. Does he do that kind of thing?
He does throw himself under the bus, but it's
intentionally.
More just, no, that's just who he is as a human being.
Right. He's fucking up, and he's putting him, and he's fucked his way under the bus.
I would say the best way to describe Earl as of late is the Shizer list, where he does something and then there's no follow through.
I didn't understand that.
Anyway, we waited 6 weeks. Earl, where are you at? We're back. Earl, at this point, is at the hospital, and we have two good things going on.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you for adjusting that shot.
I saw your
Ever
picture.
the producer.
Go ahead.
One is obviously that Fez is about to, for the first time in a long time, if he can make it through to the end of the show, pay off a bet.
Hell yeah.
Pay off a bit.
You know, he gets credit for this.
Yeah.
This entire fucking thing became a goddamn disaster, but I believe he didn't talk at all in real life.
No, and no one screen recorded the Pal Talk rooms but there was video documentation of all hours. They would have known if he talked. There
were 100 people in that Pal Talk room. Trust me, they would have told Ron instantly Fez was talking.
Before the last break of the first show where Fez went silent, he really had to pee, and he asked if he could pee, and that was never part of the bet, but Ron, taking advantage of it, sent you and Earl with him. Earl almost passed out because he saw pee, and you mic'd Fez pee. Like, he 24/7 was on the clock and did not talk, didn't clear his throat.
I remember.
It was incredible.
It was. He did a great job.
An hour away from getting rid of, literally, you guys weren't allowed to make bets because there was never the payoff. You mentioned Chris Stanley.
He was so close.
He was right there.
He was right
there. That's the one thing we got going good. And the other good thing is Ron Bennington. We've talked about a lot of goats, but I mean, come on.
Sure, of course.
If there's a Hall of Fame for broadcasting, they have to make a new school because he's in a different class. You know what I mean? Like, he's that far.
Oh, yeah.
And angry Ron is fun. Not only like funny if you're not part of it. If you're listening.
Yeah. If you're on the side of
and he's
the anger, it's not necessarily fun.
He's so mad he's decided he wants to start over. He's gonna leave and just
end his career,
start a new life. And he points out that since Fez is just kind of sitting there quiet, like it's like he's got a man dog. So he's deciding what the next adventure will be for Ronnie B and the man dog. Lots of options. At one point,
Ronnie B and the Man Dog sounds like a fucking radio show in Chicago.
Yeah. And it's lots of great ones. Car salesman in Arizona. A lot of it involves coke again, and Ron's like, I really don't want to go back to doing coke.
No, yeah,
he selling
do
coke,
that.
running
I'm
coke.
sure he would be a good salesman of anything, really.
Yeah, a lot of it was like relaxing and retiring, and just Ron and B on the road with the man dog. He wears a scarf. Yeah, he looks hot. He is probably overfed, but it's me and just very, very funny. And at this time, Earl is with Sam at the hospital. Now,
God, Sam Roberts went with Earl?
we talked about people and animals. We've got the Westchester Weasel, Sam Roberts, entering the story.
Ouch, Robert.
I thought that was-
Fucking
I thought
firing
that-
shots.
I thought that was his independent nickname.
I don't think so, but I don't care. I'm just saying, you're firing
then
shots.
Jared gave me some very
you,
bad info.
You two guys are Sirius XM pals.
Oh, yeah, I guess we both are.
Yeah,
on.
you're colleagues now.
I would say probably as many people listened to both of us last week.
Listen, the Robert Tamburro comedy special on Raw Dog. What's it called?
Just a hobby.
Just a hobby, Daddy.
And if you look at the overall design of the album, Dave,
Yeah.
it's got the checkerboard pattern, like Harry Chavin's Taxi album cover.
Well, I thought it was the Larry Bird poster when
So
he was
it's
on
the
Indiana
Larry Bird
State.
poster, and then it's got the checkerboard pattern, and it looks
Jesus
oh, yeah.
Christ, a lot of inside shit. Thank you for telling me.
See, get
Because
where
I
the,
wouldn't have gotten
right, which is
Bird and Chapin.
which is where we ran into issues at the beginning of the show. I think I have lots of symbolism and too many layers. So
I do.
I'm starting to see where you're coming from.
I think sometimes that you're a very creative person, and then but I think sometimes you don't realize that you veer off into insanity. And your references get so big, and there's so many and so inside that humans actually don't know what the fuck it is you're even talking about.
See, I was hoping much like
not like your comedy album, which is great.
Thank you. It's very funny.
Okay,
I've heard.
I want to make that clear.
Well, thank you.
All right.
But I also kind of like hope like you in 3,000 years, they're like, oh man, this guy's actually a genius. He was just ahead of his time. And then in 4,000 years, they look back and they're like, no, it was just mentally ill.
Yeah, I mean, you can't force the genius. Got to build. You got to build. You got to build slowly towards the genius. That's what I've done. Everyone recognizes me as a genius in 2023. In 2000, and by the way, we were trying to talk, or we were thinking about what year it was. I feel like this must have been then 2007, because I believe by 2008 we moved from XM to Sirius.
Yes.
So I think this was like
point,
2007 or possibly 2008 early.
I believe a softball game is mentioned, and it's proposed between the boards again. And Ron goes, what if we did Sirius staff versus XM staff? And so I believe it is right after.
Yeah, I think it's around 2007, latest 2008, for sure.
So 2000 and late.
But regardless, by the way, that softball game, do you know who won? I played on one team, Earl played on another team. Who won?
I didn't know, but based on that information alone, you won.
I won.
Yeah.
I won.
At one, and Ron's pointing out that everybody knows Earl's faking. He makes that clear, like you. At one point in one of Earl's plethora cornucopia, if you will, of feignings, you tried to bring up as your, and Ron's like, just let it go, Dave. You kind of like, we know, but then at this point, he's just all in. It's clearly fake. He points out that when you played Earl in basketball, he faked pancreatic cancer after he lost or something. Like he
was doing some kind of thing of
I'm seeing stars, Dave. I'm seeing stars. I don't know. Maybe I'm dehydrated.
And obviously, this isn't what the episode's about. But I believe at that point you go, I smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day and drink
give me my
fifth
fucking
of
money.
liquor every weekend. Give me the money.
Give me my money because we bet $1,000 on it.
And he had to also put anyway. Make sure we're still recording. Cool.
You know, his dead grandmother never pulled this shit.
No, what would she say? If
she would just say like,
Earl, honey, can you get up and stop faking? Don't fake, baby. For instance, like me. I never fake orgasms when I'm getting fucked by Hitler, baby. Every time I come, it's real. And I go, ow. You feel so good in me, Addy. I call him Addy, Earl. Adolf. That's what I call him. So get up off the ground, baby. You know how I like to get up off the ground when I'm fucking Pol Pot. Goodbye, baby. Remember, wash behind your ears, Earl, and brush your teeth. Okay, I gotta go, Earl. Lee Harvey Oswald wants a fucking. Bye, baby.
Yeah, I mean, she was always a very stand-up, classy woman, unlike her grandson.
She called Earl out on his shit. That's for sure.
She gave him an eye-opening type of conversation from time to time, yeah.
So Ron goes, and do we know what's going on with Earl? And you go, yeah, Sam said he's all done with tests. He's faking. I got him a taxi myself. At which point Ron goes, way to tease it out and make it interesting. Good job knowing radio, fuckhead. Get off air. And just really dunks on you again.
Jesus!
He's mad. Not at you, but at Earl. And honestly, at this point, we talked about it. It's become...
Yeah, but I mean, I didn't do anything.
No. But here's the thing. It's become accepted that Earl's just...
Thanks, Earl.
So incompetent. He's never going to change. He's somehow bulletproof because he's stuck through all the different turns.
Earl literally ruins the show sometimes. Whereas, like, everyone is now mad or upset or, like, the entire energy is dark and awful. And this literally was because one guy wouldn't fucking get up off his feet. Think about this.
But it's
now I'm, get off the fucking air, fuckhead.
He's so bulletproof. The very first time he fainted, the very first time he went down, the reason why was the night before, he handed his resignation to Ron, and by the end of the conversation just was like, anyway, I've got these guests booked for tomorrow, so I'll see you tomorrow, Ronnie B. And completely denied it.
He handed his resignation to Ron.
And just then kind of didn't.
And then said, no, it didn't happen.
And at one
because
point.
Because he thinks that everyone's as crazy as he is. And that things don't actually happen.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said, Ron. That's not what I said.
This is what you said. Fucking nut.
And we mentioned softball. We mentioned Earl quitting or not having a job and just not acknowledging it. I do got to ask, when you went over with him to WNEW to clean out his locker because he was still playing softball for them, do you see a pattern here? Is it that just you just don't acknowledge that they fired you, and I guess you come to work the next day and they're like, well, what are we going to do about this?
I don't know what that was, what Earl was saying, that he was going to resign to Iran. I mean, it's just like fucking weird-ass Earl fantasy talk. I think it was him feeling like he was going to be noble. He would do things like that, where he would be like,
look, if you don't want me to book guests, I don't want to, I won't book guests. If you don't want me to...
But it's not Davey Mack's job.
Yeah, I know, but he was brilliant because he would just start losing responsibilities. And then everyone would get Earl's work. He'd be like, what are you doing? Yes. He does one thing. He presses the fucking show to go on, and then the show to go in commercial. Show to come back from commercial. Show to go on. Show commercial on. End of show. That's it. That's like 6 or 7 times you're just hitting a button.
You're forgetting.
Congratulations on your fucking high-paying job.
You're forgetting all the effort of having to say no to any guest that gets proposed to the show, and then saying,
and sometimes not even offer those guests to Ron. Like a Les Claypool.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like shooting him down before Ron even gets a chance to look at him, and saying, yeah, Don, it's under control. Do we know
if Ron has talked to Les Claypool?
I don't know. We can.
So if Ron has not talked to Les Claypool of Primus, it is Earl Douglas's fault. Because he had the opportunity in 2007/8. I was there.
Is it possible Earl knows Ron really likes the lead singer of Primus?
Les Claypool and bassist.
And saw what you did with John Mayer and was like, maybe we'll wait till Davey gets sick.
No, Earl said, and I remember this vividly, Earl said,
no, I heard that Les Claypool's a little prickly, so I don't think Ron should interview him.
So he's fearing something that he heard from someone else. He heard from one of his fucking friends somewhere in some random music club that Les Claypool is prickly. How do we know that Earl's fucking weirdo friend wasn't bothering Les Claypool? So he's making this decision off of...
Well, I heard from someone that he's prickly, so no, I'm not even going to offer him to Ron.
And then now all these years later...
That's so insulting to Ron. Like, Ron hasn't done a million interviews and wouldn't know how to handle a slightly prickly guest.
Right!
And B, even if it explodes, then it fucking goes viral.
Yes!
Like, be a producer. Anyway.
And Les Claypool's not going to be... What is he going to come in to do?
Yeah, exactly.
And what is Ron going to... What are they going to get into a fight over Jerry was a race car driver? Like, Ron's like, Les, how come you sing Jerry was a race car driver so high? You know, I don't know. Jerry was a race car. Like you know,
Rapid Roy, that stock car boy. He's too much to believe.
It was a very confusing thing.
Yeah.
It was a very confusing roadblock that Earl put on that Les Claypool Primus interview that clearly I'm not over 16 years later. At some point, I need to get over it, but I could have met Les Claypool. I met Tarantino. That's one of my heroes. I met that to the Run of Fez show.
He saw your foot fetish stuff.
I offered to Tarantino to be a foot model, and Ron said, never talk to a director again. After that, it's just a joke. Do you want to hear my funny story real quick?
I'm starting to see a pattern here, Dave, of you interacting with guests. Maybe I see why you weren't.
Oh, okay, real quick, because we're not going to do an episode about Henry Rollins. Did I ever tell? So I used to.
This is Seth's brother, Henry.
No, this is, Black Flag Henry Rollins. And I used to.
I don't think you're allowed to call him that in this day and age, Dave.
It's Henry fucking Rollins.
Oh, you said flag. I was thinking Seth Henry,
let me
and I thought
just
you
get
called
into
him
the
something
goddamn
else.
Henry Rollins story, for fuck's sake. So he gets here. He gets to the show. It's right before we go on the air. We're in commercial break. And I had this nice little thing of not only bringing the celebrity in, saying, would you like a water or a coffee? What could I get you? And then really to make him feel special, like a king or queen. Like I was literally their subservient. For instance, Sidney Pollack I gave this treatment to. And you know what? Sidney Pollack, the film director, Sidney Pollack, loved it.
I like her chat show.
Sidney Pollack is a man, motherfucker.
I like his chat show.
Regardless, Sidney Pollack appreciated it. So this was my move. I take the headphones and I put them on the celebrity's ears. Well, so you looked away like as if that's inappropriate. Sidney Pollack appreciated the fucking fancy headphone treatment. Is that what?
I looked away because I don't like my ears being touched, so I could see some people being freaked out about that.
I didn't know.
No, apparently you did.
I wasn't aware that fucking Henry Rollins is like Ben, the guy in There's Something About Mary.
Oh, you got a baseball behind you? Oh, no, he's got a thing about ears.
So I go to put the headphones on Henry Rollins' ears. He grabs my wrist. Grabs my wrist like that. Twists it. Nearly breaks the wrist, by the way. And says the following. Nobody puts headphones on Henry Rollins. I'm like, okay, you know what? Whatever, dude. I'm out of here. Sidney Pollack appreciated it. And that motherfucker has an Oscar.
Yeah.
Okay, Henry. And by the way, let's stop pretending that Black Flag is as important as the Ramones or fucking the Clash or even Social Distortion. Like the fucking Black Flag. How many songs can you name? You know what, Henry Rollins? You got an enemy for life, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay? I didn't expect this kind of controversy to exist on the fucking Earl Douglas fainting episode. But you know what, Rollins? You got an enemy for life.
Yeah. I'd say
There's a little bit of controversy on the episode for you. We try to give you a little bit of controversy per episode. I mean, we're not going out of our way to do it, but if it happens, it happens.
Yeah, no.
Rollins, listen to me. Listen to me. Fuck you. You want to start some shit? Anytime. I will meet you in New Jersey. Arm wrestling competition, wiffle ball home run derby, whatever competition you want, Rollins, I am here to take you on. You know, Henry Rollins is like 5'4".
Wow.
You know what Henry Rollins looks like in person? Sean Astin. Anyone fucking intimidated by Sean Astin?
No.
No.
I surveyed everybody.
No one's intimidated by Sean Astin. You look like him, Henry Rollins. I met Sean Astin. You're the same size. You look like the same guy to me.
Wow. I'd say you should start calling your crew White Flag, but that's going to be the title of Earl's autobiography.
I got the fucking fist for him, Robert.
Oh.
I got a goddamn fucking meat of a knuckle sandwich.
Dave?
I'm serving this fucker on rye.
I think you're channeling your anger to the wrong person.
I'm sorry.
Because the person you want to channel it towards arrives. It's Earl Douglas.
God damn it. Earl, do you see what you've done? You got me distracted in talking about Henry Rollins. But Robert's right. This is misdirected anger. I apologize, Mr. Rollins. It was inappropriate for me all those years ago. Fucking Earl.
Yeah. And
he finally arrives. And didn't he arrive? What time?
Halfway through the show.
I knew it. I remember that. And goddamn, Robert, it felt like even closer to just like an hour, even maybe 30 minutes left.
It may have been somewhere in that range, but it was towards the end of the show.
Damn it.
And if you had broken the only rule and had gone to the hospital, what would you do with the bracelet they put on you? Would you show up rocking it just to remind everybody?
I think at that point I would.
No, you would try to hide it. You would want to forget about that and be like, I screwed up. I'm sorry. It won't happen again.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess you're right. I don't know. Okay, if I had gone to the hospital on my own, I would have showed up with the hospital bracelet.
Yes.
If I pulled an asshole move where I called an ambulance and a whole goddamn medical team fucking showed up, like it was the guy who passed out on the fucking Monday Night Football game last season.
Yeah.
And that, by the way, I don't want to like undersell or oversell the reaction. This is what happened. At least 5 or 6 medical people came in.
Yeah, because initially
all
it was
kinds of fucking people. It became this busy, weird ass quasi-crime scene because of Earl's fucking bullshit.
We talked about that Opie, Anthony, and mainly Jim were out trying to protect their jobs. And what happened was instead of calling the actual EMTs, they just on air were like, if you're an EMT in the area, come. So like 3 different groups showed up and it made a bigger scene than if they had just actually.
It's like that scene of Gangs in New York where there's rival fire trucks.
Exactly.
And like one fire truck's like, this is our fire. And the other fire truck's like, oh no, this is our fire. And instead of putting out the fire, they get into a fight with each other.
Exactly. It's exactly like that.
You put us into goddamn Gangs of New York territory. Are you ashamed of yourself? You know what? One thing that's never happened to me
Earl gets
in my
fired?
entire life. No, I've never had any kind of Earl apology or Earl appreciation to David.
No.
Like, for instance, this event, this incident, this insanely controversial. And let me tell you something. It was, in terms of being in trouble and shit like this was one of the heaviest ones we've ever had. The entire show, we were like, oh man, we fucked up. We're a bunch of fuck-ups. I mean, we really felt terrible. It was all because of Earl not getting up.
Absolutely. And I'm sure a hangover on top of that, you're feeling extra guilty, right? Because you've already got that kind of natural, you're tired, you've been up, you've been drinking.
I wasn't feeling guilty.
Like anxiety, I mean. I'm sorry, guilt's the wrong word. Like, you know how you have that hangover anxiety where you're like, oh, I got to, and now on top of it, you're getting, everybody is actually angry at you. So now you're dealing with that. It's a lot.
I was wearing piss pants.
But Earl comes
That was another
in.
part of the equation. I kind of smelled like urine.
Yeah, it's not a good
I
look.
didn't blame Ron for not being invited into the studio. I smelled like urine.
I wouldn't invite you in. I mean, I would, but
it happens every once in a while.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest, it happens, maybe once a year with me.
Okay.
Sober.
Yeah, I get that.
I have pee accidents. Sometimes you know what's the worst? When you're fucking taking a nap.
Oh, yeah, because it's like you're going to push the limit.
No, but I mean, it doesn't seem fair.
No,
it's
I get
like
it.
I'm just taking a little nap here.
And then you have a dream
I
that you're
put
at a
on my
urinal.
History Channel, and I do Unsolved Mysteries with William Shatner. I like to watch that marathon to take my naps. And next thing you know, I wake up, they're discussing fucking Bigfoot, and I got piss all over the sheets.
Absolutely. Terrible. Terrible.
This is all Earl's fault.
All Earl. But Earl comes in. He's doing the moping thing. Ron's like, knock it off right away. Earl keeps trying to stick to this story that he doesn't know what happened. He just went out. And like, even though he had, when he woke up on the show, recounted everything that happened. But through and through, there's one way this is going to end well. And it's that Fez still hasn't spoken.
Awesome
it's
job.
all good. He's going to pull it off. The consummate professional. He's going to ruin the title. Earl keeps going. I'm gonna just say, yes, I will call. Ron's like, you're gonna call and tell him it was all your fault. You do this all the time. You've ruined your fresh start with these people in their eyes. You're now the fainting goat. I had to Google it, Earl. I had to show them fainting goats. This is what I had to do. Now they're looking at me like I'm crazy and I got to explain. No, it's because I got a fainting goat on my staff. It's a favor to Opie. And he's just going through it all. And Earl keeps going, yes, I'll call them. I'll say, I don't know what happened, but it's my fault. And
He probably blamed it on me.
Probably 10 minutes.
He probably blamed it on me, by the way. Like privately in the phone call, because that's what he would do. But go ahead.
He would have done that had it not been for Fez Whatley, who breaks with 10 minutes to go. And just
that's
basically
great,
goes,
though.
God damn it, Earl. You blew the bit, but I can't allow you to make that phone call because you're going to get Danny fired. Like, and just loses it on him. And it's just amazing. Like, people who don't see the brilliance of Fez. Like, if he had made it, he could have yelled
Who
it.
doesn't see the brilliance of Fez?
A lot of people get so sucked up in the depression and that stuff that they don't realize the brilliance that he was still doing even while in the throes of it. Like this, to realize in that moment.
Hysterical.
He could
finish line.
We're both producers. We both know he could have pulled Earl aside after the show and been like, "Don't you fucking dare!"
No, of course, that's hysterical. It's the Charlie Brown thing coming up short.
Ultimately,
at the end, Friday Night Lights. Friday Night Lights is one of my favorite movies because the kid doesn't. Spoiler alert! Score a touchdown at the end. He comes up a yard short.
Bad news bears.
I did the drinking challenge 3 times. The Power Hour. First
Always.
2 ones, and obviously you can't fake this.
Yeah.
I literally puked. But it's a shot of beer a minute.
Yeah.
For 60 minutes, and I got into the 50s in both time, and then puked. When you get into the home stretch,
it's so
and
much.
then you choke. That's drama.
Yeah, that's wrestling, and you love wrestling.
I love it. That's drama.
So Fez breaks. The show ends. Everybody's mad at Earl. He ruined the bit. Everybody's angry.
Ruined everyone's life.
And
going forward, no one was the same.
We won't get too much into this just because it doesn't actually result in it. But Earl kind of wraps up this segment by again attempting to quit.
I've mentioned this. I gotta give. So funny.
It's the next day, but he tries to quit, and eventually he doesn't, and the show just goes on.
I love that guy. There are times where he makes me laugh. Trying to quit constantly is hysterical to me. One of the things that I learned, though, about Jedi Jared, who I co-host the Star Wars podcast.
Seattle Chattel.
Yaddle Chattel.
Oh, Yaddle
Chattel, please. Trying to promote. Don't do little jokes. Is that every time I've threatened Jared, to hey, maybe you should quit or something like that. Jared goes, okay, fine.
Yeah, he just does.
And then you realize you'd be screwed. I almost wish we had taken him up on one of these fake resignations.
Yeah.
If he was just if you need my resignation, I'm gone. Okay, fine. Yep, put it in the rain. Let's go.
Actually, the one time he kind of did was the intern revolution, where the interns pointed out they could do a better job than Earl, spearheaded by main player in this story, Chris Pepper Stanley. And that's a story we may get to, not next episode, because next episode we kind of teased it out, but let's give it away.
What is it?
It's probably going to be you and Sam having Billy Mitchell on special delivery, as well as the Kong Off.
Oh my God. The Kong Off was one of the most controversial, one of the most actually frightening live events I've ever been a part of, because a weird ass, quite frankly, kind of a KKK-ish Northwest Jersey town turned on us and almost killed us in the process. The bouncer almost killed me. We were threatened by a lot of different people. It sounds like a fun fucking thing, but actually it was the Kong Off itself turned into, we had to pretty much escape.
Having gone through it, now you can look back and say it was entertaining, but in the moment, I'm sure it was terrifying.
Yeah, actually, in the moment and still now.
Okay.
I'll never go back to that town in Northwest Jersey again. Northwest Jersey is not the Jersey Shore. We got the fucking boardwalks. We got the oceans. We got the Six Flags Great Adventure. Northwest Jersey, that's some fucking deliverance shit.
Well, that sounds pretty terrifying. I might faint. And on that note, I think we've wrapped up Earl.
That's it?
Febreze, the Fainting Goat Saga, as well as the 24 Hours Bet of Silence. Dave,
I mean,
any final thoughts?
Final thoughts. It was a wonderful episode. We got to learn a lot. I love the ending of Fez, coming out there at the end and destroying it. And Earl Douglas is a very interesting guy. He create some controversies. He creates a lot of controversies. But so a lot of times, I don't think he's meaning to.
Yeah. He creates a lot of controversies.
You know, a lot of things in radio, wrestling, and stuff like that. You're trying to go for some kind of controversy. It's not inadvertent. I fucked up my job yet again, so now the fucking whole entire show is ruined. Type
He's
of controversy.
kind of the opposite of Forrest Gump, where he just goes about his life fucking up everything in his path.
Oh my God. How is he doing these days?
I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
I hope we didn't create too much controversy with Earl on this episode.
No, man.
But if we did, I'm sure we'll find out by Christmas. On that note, Dave, what do you got to plug?
Earl Douglas, I love you. This is all in good fun, and it's a nostalgic trip down memory lane. We're very positive about these episodes. They're not here to cause drama. They're here to reminisce and go, oh, shit, that was some fucked up shit. But at the same time, everyone's doing well now. Earl's got a job. Bobby's got a goddamn comedy special on Raw Dog. What's it called?
Just a Hobby.
And as for us, patreon.com/EastsideDave. You're already watching that. That's fine. Davey Mac Sports Program. We're doing it live from the Dojo of Comedy, Morris Plains, New Jersey. This show has never sounded so good. It is fantastic, and it's only going to get better and better as we get guests and possibly an audience.
Yeah, we're working on some things.
Yaddle Channel, Star Wars Podcast. That's the show Darth David and Jedi Jared host together. The Eastside Dave and Son Wrestling Show, syndicated by Beasley Media in over 70 radio stations in the United States of America. And then if you're in New Jersey or you just want to hear me, WRAT 95.9 FM. That's where I've been for the last 10 years. #1 morning show in New Jersey on the biggest rock station in New Jersey. Carl and Dave, the morning rat race. Been that way. For now, Robert, we got the spring book, 33 books in a row.
Oh, the Larry Legend number.
So we're into the last 9 years at #1. 33 books in a row. 33 ratings books in a row. #1. Me. Moi. The king.
Hell yeah.
The champion. I ain't no fainting goat. I'm a goat. You understand that, Earl Douglas? Because let me tell you something, my sweet sapphire. If you're going to faint, baby, if you're going to fall asleep, baby, then how about you do me a favor and fall asleep right on my dick? You like that?
Yeah.
That's how we're going to end it, Bobby.
On that note, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Davey Mac's Tales from the Satellite.
Bye-bye, baby.
Good night, radio fans.